council meeting, Monday the 29th of January. Attendance, we have all councillors here. No apologies. Welcome to the members of the public. Anywhere down the side. Welcome to Nick, our audio person, and welcome to two of our new staff members, Callum Wilcock and Brandy Strickland.
Brandy's here for the workshop.
Oh, she's not staying for the rest of it. Okay, that's fine. It's good to get them familiar.
Yeah, who was the other one?
Callum's at the back there.
Oh.
He's our new governance person in our legal person. Can I just ask that everybody's got their phones on silent, please? We haven't got anybody from the press here at the moment. I do have a document I need to read out, and it's because our meetings are now audio live streamed. Ladies and gentlemen, please note this meeting is being audio live streamed and recorded on the Council's website in accordance with Council's live streaming of Open Council meetings policy. The recording will be archived and made available on Council's website after the meeting. While care is taken to maintain your privacy while in attendance at the Council meeting, please note that your presence in the Council chambers and/or voice may be live streamed and recorded, including any statement made during public question time or consideration of planning matters. All speakers ought to refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing personal information of another individual without their prior consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments, and all liability will rest with the individuals making those comments. By remaining in the public gallery, you are deemed to consent to being live streamed and recorded. So if any person attending the meeting does not agree to being live streamed or recorded, you may choose to leave the meeting. Thank you. We've done the attendance. Table of contents, as is. Acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the traditional and original owners and continuing custodians on this land on which we gather today, and acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Councillor Terrett.
Item 7.5, Devon Hills Neighbourhood Watching and Residents Committee.
Yes.
I disclose that in relation to Devon Hills Road.
Councillor McCullough.
Item 8.15, Campbelltown Hall. And I don't want to move someone down to it there, but item 8.9551 there's a matter on there that I don't believe should be on there, on page 33. That's based on a matter that's been appealed at the moment.
Anyone else with pecuniary interests?
Maybe with 5.3.3, I'll just wait and see if on the particular groups that are mentioned, and I'll withdraw if a particular group is mentioned.
And I will, pardon me, I will be doing the same thing. Item 5.3.3, it will depend on what groups are being discussed, and if the group that's associated with it's being discussed, I'll leave the room. And also potentially item 3.4 enclosed if there's to be an update, but there may not be. No. Nobody else has a pecuniary interest? Okay. Confirmation of the council meeting minutes from the 20th of November, that the open council minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the Northern Midlands Council held at the council chambers on Monday the 20th of November be confirmed as a true recording of proceedings. Councillor Terrett.
I would like to move that that be amended to that council on item 5.3.2 that be the council develop a workforce planning strategy, and it be listed for the 24-25 budget. And item 5.3.3, Longford Town Hall, the council officers prepare a report on the motion on notice, and that to the next council meeting.
So is there a seconder to that amendment, Councillor McCullough? Any discussion? Okay, yes.
Can I just ask a question?
Yep.
I'd just like to know, or get some clarification, please. Does the the proposed wording change, will that change the intent of the original motion at all? I'm not sure who.
I'm happy to answer. The reason I proposed that is that, well, I have proposed it, so I believe it was part of those minutes. One gives a clear direction that one is to develop, not that we consider to develop. And the other is that rather than at a future meeting, it gives a clear direction that it will be the next meeting, rather than sometime in the future, 6 months, 12 months down the track. And that's the reason why I moved that originally, but that was the intent and the difference between those two motions.
So you're saying it will change the intent of the motion?
It does.
Okay, I'll put that, Councillor Goss.
I've got a question here. I'm a bit confused with the writing up there. 5.3.2, motion about the strategic property committee. Is that what we're looking at? Or is that, I mean, a different
Workforce planning strategy.
page 8?
Can I correct that? Because that's not what the motion is. It's that council develop a workforce planning strategy and it be listed for the 24-25 budget.
So that you're happy with that amendment?
Just make sure it's right. Yes.
Any further discussion? Councillor Archer.
Mayor, I consider that we should be approving the minutes as they were written. If Councillor Terrett wants to change that and bring in a new motion, we may all have then the decision to make that we will approve that motion, but we can't just change the minutes to something that is now considered the right one. We have approved the minutes. So I'm in a situation where we should... Well, basically as far as I'm concerned, what I've read in here, what we voted on was on the board. We actually...
But it wasn't approved.
We had a meeting and we didn't agree on that.
Yep.
But we should have a vote on whether we now agree with that or not.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
As I understand.
Councillor Brooks.
I think Councillor Terrett's actually saying that if you listen to the audio, you'll clearly hear what the motion was. And I think that's where we're becoming a bit lost. I think the audio is the proof in the pudding. Now, if we go back and listen to the audio and see what the motion is, it clearly says that. Regardless of what's wrote in the minutes, I don't think that can be true and correct if the audio says something different.
Councillor McCullough.
I was about to say the same thing, because the minutes haven't been passed. They're sitting here for consideration now, and what was said was different to what was written on the board. So I don't look at the board all the time, but now I will. But unless we get into a heated debate not heated debate, but debate. So I'd be suggesting that what was read out was what was proposed, not what was written on the board.
Okay, you can sum up.
Our own meeting procedures policy also points back to the audio, and that may be used for doing the minutes. So it actually points in that direction. And mistakes occur and errors do occur. So as far as the minute taker, there is an opportunity to correct that, which we're doing at the moment. But if there is a discrepancy between the audio and the written one, there is an opportunity under section regulate clause 33.3, if these minutes are confirmed, that we do listen to the audio tape at the next available meeting to correct it. And I have sent the audio, in that section of the audio, to all councillors, which clearly states what the motion was, and that would be a true and correct record of the meeting, regardless of whether you think it's right or not. What we are voting on now is it a true and correct record of the meeting? And I believe that this is putting it to what the resolution is as per the audio and as I moved originally would make it a true and correct. If it is not corrected, then it would not be a true and correct.
Okay, I'm going to put that amendment as Councillor Terrett has confirmed on the board.
Nitpicking nonsense.
I find that offensive.
Point of order.
And can you get that removed?
Excuse me, everybody, will you please have respect for each other?
Well, it's an
I
offensive comment.
beg your pardon.
Man, point of order.
I'm going to put that motion. It is for the amendment that has been approved by, or that has been proposed by Councillor Terrett as is on the board. I'll put that amendment. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
No.
Aye. So there's Councillor Adams. Councillor Goss, which way are you voting? Against, yeah, Councillor Goss. Councillor Lambert. Councillor Archer, which way are you voting, Councillor?
I'm saying it's a true record. Go with it. The resolutions. For.
The resolution, so not
I'm voting for it.
the amendment?
Yes.
Not- You're voting for the amendment?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And I'm against the amendment. So please, those who are against the amendment, please put your hands up. So Councillor Adams, Councillor Goss, Councillor Lambert, Councillor Archer and myself. So that is lost. So now we'll continue. We need to go back to the original recommendation that the open council minutes of the ordinary council meeting on November the 20th be confirmed as a true recording of proceedings. I need a mover and a seconder.
I'll move that.
Councillor Adams,
I'll second it.
Councillor Archer. Cool. Any?
Can I just comment?
You can comment, yes.
I listened to the audio report of the meeting, and what Councillor Terrett proposed to be the motion may have been the start of the talk, but what I voted on was what was written up on the board, and I'll have to stick to that, I'm afraid.
Yes. Councillor Brooks.
I'll just reiterate that, you know, if we're voting on what was said in the audio,
We're voting on what's on the board.
yeah, I know, but it's not a true and correct record. You know, we're voting on not a true and correct record of what potentially took place.
Well, I
I
can
don't
say
know what
that's
the
fine.
repercussions are
Councillor
about
Terrett's
this.
moved an amendment when we voted for the amendment and lost it. So,
Yeah, and we're going to lose this one as well.
So
But it's
now-
not a true and correct record, Mayor, of what actually transpired at the meeting.
so now I'm moving this recommendation that I've already said. So I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against?
Aye.
Councillor Terrett, Councillor McCullough, Councillor Brooks and Councillor Andrews. The motion's carried. The confirmation of the ordinary council meeting on the 11th of December, that the open council minutes of the ordinary meeting held at the council chambers on the 11th of December be confirmed as a true recording of the proceedings. Councillor Terrett.
I will
can you do that?
leave that one.
Seconder. Councillor Archer. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. The date of the next council meeting will be Monday the 19th of February. We have some motions on notice. The officer's recommendation that this motion on notice is not endorsed, as councillors would already have already confirmed the minutes of the 20th of November prior to considering this motion on notice. So this motion on notice we don't have to deal with.
We do, because
We do.
it's voted in a different way.
Right. I would
You want to put a motion?
I'd like to put a motion that in accordance with clause 33.3 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulation 2015, get that easier for you, that at the next ordinary meeting of council, the council is to review the audio recording of the ordinary council meeting of the 20th of November to confirm that the minutes are a true record, or amend the minutes to reflect the audio recording, and then confirm the amended minutes to reflect the audio recording, and then confirm the minutes as amended to be true.
Point of order, Mayor, I don't need to tolerate the comments that was to my left.
Point of order, we can't actually hear them, so it's
Well, I
only
can.
disturbing you, councillor McCullough.
Well,
Yeah.
just
All right,
a
everybody,
Everybody
Everybody,
shouldn't be making the
please,
comments.
everybody,
They're
please.
derogatory comments.
Excuse me,
Oh, no.
everybody, please be respectful of everybody else. Continue, councillor Terrett.
So it's that I've given the motion to go. To type that up so everybody is clear of what the motion is. The effect of the motion will be that at the next meeting we listen to the audio tape and look at the minutes. If the minutes are incorrect, then that can be corrected. The local government meeting regulations does allow this, and it is part of the process of ensuring our meeting records are correct, and it's put accordingly. This council has an obligation to have true and correct records, and therefore seeking that the tape be listened to I have sent it previously, but obviously it needs, that section of the regulations need to be called upon. So I asked the council call from that regulation to ensure the true and correct records.
So Councillor Terrick's moved this. Do we have a seconder? Councillor McCollum? Any further discussion? Councillor Archer?
Look, in the efficiency of meetings and the fact we're all sitting around this table looking at a screen, we have to agree to the motion that is on the board. If you're not happy with it, you can change it on the board. The fact that we have to go back through the audio every meeting to review the minutes and potentially change them because something was said is ridiculous. The fact is, it's up on the board. If you're not happy with what's on the board, change it or vote for or against it. That is the most efficient way to run a meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
Any further discussion? Councillor Lambert?
Can I just make sure, you haven't got a mover or a seconder, sorry.
Yes, with Councillor Terrick and Councillor McCollum.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't up there. Can I just make sure before we vote that they have read this and that they understand that is what we're voting on?
That was
I shall read it out.
Thank you.
That in accordance with clause 33.3 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulation 2015, that at the next ordinary meeting of council, the council is to review the audio recording of the ordinary council meeting of the 20th of November 2023 to confirm that the minutes are a true recording, or amend the minutes to reflect the audio recording and then confirm, or amend the minutes to reflect the audio recording and then confirm the minutes as amended to be a true record.
Can I ask a question before we vote?
Yes.
Can I ask a question of Councillor Terry?
Mhm.
So are you seriously suggesting at some stage in every meeting we all sit and listen to an audio of the previous meeting?
They are the rules put down by the regulation.
It will take an hour or more.
I'm not sure.
No.
Right,
No.
excuse me, yes. Now Councillor Gossel's next.
Just a question. I don't know if Tom might be an answer for me, but if we didn't get it right, why don't we bring the item back to council and put it back on the agenda for the next meeting?
Can't do that.
Can't do that.
No, we're not discussing the item, we're just discussing a true and correct record of the minutes.
To build that into the next council meeting, from a time point of view and an efficiency point of view, and considering that we're being paid by the ratepayers to provide services to them and look after their interests, is a shocking waste of time and money, surely, Councillor
No.
Terrick?
No, this is in accordance with Good Governance Guide. That
Still a
says
shocking
it's a
time,
law
waste of
abiding,
time
and
and
to
money.
have a law abiding, and the law and the regulation actually specifies. Most of that is part of the regulation, word for word.
Councillor McCullers next.
I would just sort of suggest that we might, I understand where Councillor Terrick's coming from, but we shouldn't be railroaded into accepting that something wasn't positioned. But in order of efficiencies, Councillor Terrick might want to suggest that only in the rise of a dispute or a disputed minute. Would that be fair and
Well, it's only if there is an
a dispute?
incorrect.
Yeah, no, it's not in every meeting. If there's a dispute. Well, why should you just say that something's correct and we're not?
That will do. Councillor Terrick, did you wish to add that in anywhere?
No, I think I'll leave it as per the regulation, it's clear on the
Councillor
record.
Adams is next.
Yeah, I oppose this. We need to use what we've traditionally used. I believe this is just an exercise of trying to raise nitpicky nonsense.
Point of
This-
order.
Point of
Excuse me.
order.
Excuse me.
23(1),
How many
I find that
times?
offensive.
Councillor Brooks and Councillor Terrick, Councillor Adams is speaking. Please.
Not when he, point of order, he's made an offensive comment,
Exactly.
and he needs to
I'm
withdraw that
asking you-
offensive comment.
Excuse me, I'm asking you as well to please be respectful, as well as the Councillor
I'm
Adams.
bringing a
Everybody around
point
this
of
table,
order,
I've asked
Madam
this 3
Mayor.
times already. Everyone around this table needs to be respectful of each other. Councillor Adams, please continue.
Okay, the point I'm making is that this is just taking up time at council. The same as what's been said, if we went back through the audio every time, there's another hour or added to a council meeting. It's not the reason. The reason is, I'd say there's other motives here to bring this onto the table and to take up the time of council. I don't believe it's the right motive. I believe that it's just used to say something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think it adds anything to this council's effort in doing anything for the ratepayers and getting on and making its decisions. And I believe that we should reject this, and we should We should get on, use the board. What's on the board is what you vote on. That's what we should do, as we've always done, and what we should do into the future.
Councillor Lambert and then Councillor Brooks. So
Thank
I'll
you,
put in the
Mayor.
motion.
Can I please get some comments from the General Manager about the legalities of all of this and at this motion, this proposed decision?
Well, Madam Mayor, you've actually have considered the matter. What the decision you made previously was actually considering the issues put forward. And if you actually read the preamble there, or the actual item that Council considered previously, all this information about the various clauses, regulations were identified within those discussion points.
Thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Can I ask, I think it's to the General Manager or maybe the Mayor, what is the purpose to record the meeting? What is that purpose in the recording of the meeting? Could someone explain that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, as indicated, we go back and review that upon request of Council when it's necessary. But as indicated, the practice here has been for elected members to actually review what's put up on the board. The context of what was put forward is still, I believe, still be the same. But again, the privilege or the right belongs to Council to put forward an amendment if they wish to the amendments, which has actually been done and actually had been voted on.
But it's a mechanism in place to cross-check the minutes.
Which is what Council has done.
Well,
Okay,
I
I'm
don't
going
believe so.
I'd like to
speak in response.
I'm going to be putting this recommendation now. I think
I'd
we've
like
had
to
a
put it
meeting-
in response to my resolution.
We've had quite enough discussion
I
around
know I
this.
have a right of reply, Madam Mayor.
He's had his reply.
Yeah, I think so too. There's been everyone's had their turn.
I don't think I've had my right of reply on this. And as the mover of the motion, I have a right to speak to the motion
Sum up
and to
quickly,
reply.
please.
Councillor Adams raised that there is a motive behind me putting this
With
motion.
being respectful as well.
And
please.
I'm just commenting on his comment. Yes, there is a motive to have good governance and to comply with the local government's regulations. The regulations require us to have a true and correct record. Now, I've been heard that this is supposed to be our record. No, this is the records of the minutes taker. The Act prescribes...
Excuse me, point of order, that's a slur on the minutes.
No, it isn't. I'm saying that she's putting down what she's writing.
Slur on
The
the
Act
minutes.
says...
Excuse me, Councillor Terrett, please be respectful.
Staff member.
Pointing and poking fingers is not being respectful. I'm going to put this recommendation now.
A point of order, I haven't finished my ability. What you're doing is cutting me off from making any further
This is not an
comments.
exercise.
Madam,
This is getting out of hand.
it's not getting out. I am trying to abide by the Local Government Act.
Pointing fingers and yelling is not...
Because you are not allowing me to have my speak. You're quite happy to let Councillor Adams move and speak, and I will sit respectfully. Let me have the same respect.
Be quick.
Quick. This is a requirement of the Local Government Act. This is to correct our minutes. If it is not a matter of correcting our minutes, we are not having minutes that are reflective of the community, of what actually occurred. And it is different to the notion that it appears in the minutes. The board has nothing to do with our minute taking. It is something that is used as an aid in this council, and it is not in any of our meeting regulations or in council's own meeting procedures.
It's been in council practice since the...
Practice and what it actually says is two different
Okay, I'm
things.
going to put that recommendation now. All those in favour? Against? Aye. Councillor Adams, Councillor Goss, Councillor Lambert, Councillor Andrews, Councillor Archer and myself. The motion is lost. Okay, there's a motion now on Strategic Property Committee, and the officer's recommendation is that council officers prepare a report on the notice of motion to be presented at a future meeting.
I'd like to move as per my motion on notice, because that was what I would move, and that we re-establish the Strategic Property Committee and appoint two councillors, as has been the previous case.
Okay, is there a seconder to that motion? Councillor McCullough. Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Terry?
Yes, certainly. The Strategic Property Committee was not listed in our committees as at November of 2022 meeting. That, as per the report, it was meant to meet in November of 2022 and never did. There is a comment in the report that said it was previously being recommended that this committee be disbanded. I find nowhere in anywhere of the council's meeting for this to be disbanded. It is a strategic, our role as councillors is to act strategically.
Oh, point of
Excuse
order,
me, councillor
please.
Adams, please, be
Seriously.
respectful. Keep going.
It's to act strategically. And this has been operating for a number of years from 2018. And if it had not been a effective committee, it would have been disbanded some time ago. This is something for our council to consider, and also for our current council to consider whether, if they do not feel that it is necessary, that should be a matter for council. At the moment, there are terms of reference. There are of this committee. They exist. We just haven't appointed any councillors to it.
Councillor Andrews.
Well, can I make a comment and then ask a question? I would have thought that the reason why we don't need a strategic property committee anymore is because the council, all of us around the table, actually fulfil that role these days. We actually draw up the strategies and endorse them, etc., etc. So can I ask the General Manager, why was the strategic committee not deemed necessary?
Well, Madam Mayor, the Strategic Property Committee actually identified the numerous properties that were going to be disposed of, and that is in progress at the moment. What officers have recommended here actually is for allow the officers to prepare a report about what has occurred in the last 3 or 4 years, what the committee achieved, and to clearly identify to the committee that we've actually gone through all the properties in detail. The previous committee, we are selling properties where we can, and we can also report on the ones where we can't dispose of those as well. Any other major strategic property that's identified does come to the full council, and you'll note some of those issues are in the closed council section.
Okay, I'm going to put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? No. Councillor Adams, Councillor Gloss, Councillor Lambert, Councillor Andrews and Councillor Archer and myself. That motion's lost.
We get the reports from the officers, right?
Do you wish to move? Then you can move the other motion if you
The
wish.
motion, yeah.
You wish to move that one?
I'll move the officer's recommendation.
Adams,
I'll
and
second
is there a
that.
second? Councillor McCullough. Any discussion? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. A motion on notice around the Heritage Committee. The officer's recommendation is that the council officers prepare a report on the notice of motion to be presented at a future council meeting. Over to you, Councillor Terrett.
I move it as per my motion, which is the council prepare a report with a view of forming a special committee under section 24 of the Local Government Act to establish a heritage committee.
And you're seconding that, Councillor McCullough?
Thanks, Mayor.
I move that motion. One of the jewels of the Northern Midlands is our
I just probably need to ask first, because a couple of us have expressed an interest if the groups are involving the groups that we're participating in.
in respect to the other councillors, and I think it's important the other councillors have a say. I will not be talking about any specific group, much more of a global, to form a committee, and I will talk in those terms.
Noted.
Yeah, well, I'd note that too, being a problem.
And I think that's one of the things, and the fact that we've had councillors are involved in heritage and heritage in our area. It's a very special thing about the Northern Midlands, is our various heritage aspects and the need for us to cherish that and also develop it. One of the problems in running heritage facilities or heritage properties is that the lack of funds, the lack of volunteers, and the coordination, and some of us are getting a little bit older to retain that. Many of the committees and historical societies in each of our towns operate very much by themselves without a lot of support by others. And in many other areas, our councils absolutely cherish it. And I'm not saying we aren't cherishing, but I think we should be cherishing it a lot more. And if council can play an active role through a committee, I'm not saying it needs every month, quarterly, half yearly, that there is some communication between the various groups and maybe support each other to some extent, learn from each other and seeing what council can do to engender or improve these facilities, whether it's our street signing, whether it's our collections, keeping our collections in a more airtight areas, and trying to have something and to be able to keep our heritage at the forefront. by having a heritage committee, we also encourage people through the community to come forward. And it would be a very good thing for us to have, that we can then say, well, there is this very strong history, and it goes back to our Indigenous history as well as our Georgian and Victorian history, to some of our modern history like the Longford races. So this would be a way of doing that, and members of the public and from those committees being involved across the board. I'm asking for a report. I'm not saying, I think that's the thing. Calling for the report to look in that direction is probably a good step in that direction, in that way, rather than saying we're definitely going to do it. I think there is a need for us to start looking at what we could do better in the heritage space.
But your motion does say we're going, with a view to forming the special committee, whereas the other one is a report on all that's occurring now.
But it doesn't give any direction.
Councillor McCullough.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, supplies an extra layer of support and possibly interaction with the community to protect our heritage listed properties and our heritage areas, and that could give something back that might provide something to the owners of those buildings to get a better run on the way through, I guess is the best way of saying it.
Councillor Lambert.
I just see this as an extra layer of bureaucracy for committees that are already have established committees, to then have another committee come over the top of them to guide them, to help them better achieve their objectives. Most of these committees, well, I presume, I'm thinking about the committees, but they're very vague here, are committees that liaise with council anyway, and or have council reps on them, or have council employees as part of these committees. I fail to see why another layer of bureaucracy is actually going to help. I think it's all going to hinder rather than help these committees. So I won't be supporting the motion.
Councillor Archer.
Look, I can see some potential benefits in refining the heritage processes in local government. It's not just to do with individual properties, it's to do with planning schemes and heritage precincts and all these things. I'm happy to receive a report from council on how it's working at the moment, whether there are any weaknesses and anything we can do to change it, to improve it. I obviously have an interest having a heritage property, but I'm also concerned about precincts in all the municipalities. I do think it probably would be, without spending too much time on it, useful to have a report from council on perhaps why the previous one was disbanded and any benefits that could be perceived to be there. But also, as Councillor Lambert says, I do not want another layer of bureaucracy where every developer's got to go through another committee to get anything done. I just don't think that's necessary. So the report, I think, is fine as long as we don't spend a fortune on it and we at least have some idea.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the role needs to be defined. More knowledge of heritage is really good. I don't think there's a lot in our community. We could increase that a lot by knowledge and people learning more and what heritage actually means. Probably around this table, people would have different views and different understandings of what heritage is. Oakland's where I was involved some years ago, and getting that mill redone. They had university kids from other parts of the world digging up and doing digs in different areas of that town, and very successfully identifying some of the real history. I think we've got to be very careful. There's other things happening on the town which brings a focus on heritage as well. So I think, having a report from the officers of what's done on, but also defining what our committee would be doing. And I think education and a knowledge of heritage would be great.
Okay, Councillor Andrews.
Yes, I think a report would be a good idea. My only concern is if we go ahead and form a committee, what the role of that committee might be, because I would hate to think that the council set up a committee which would be telling people how to suck eggs, basically. We have in our municipality some very successful business owners of heritage properties, and I would hate to think that we would be trying to tell them how to operate.
Okay, I'm going to put this...
Big in reply.
Please don't go over the same ground.
What's that?
New information.
No, I can't go
over
over new information. I can only respond to what's been said here. I don't see it as being something we would overlay, and I believe in the autonomy of these groups that exist at the moment. But it's a way of facility to actually, for council, to become even more involved in heritage and to work with these groups as well. We work at the moment, some of them work in isolation and don't have much contact. Avondale Historical Society.
They might like it that way.
Well, they might, but it gives them an opportunity to have a voice. And this is what it is. It's putting heritage on a pedestal, and it's more than just tourism. It's about keeping, defining who we are. Because if we can define who we are, we know where we can go in the future.
Okay, I'm going to put this notice of motion from Councillor Terrett that Council prepare a report with a view to forming a special committee under Section 24 of the Local Government Act to establish a heritage committee. I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Aye. There's only myself and Councillor Lambert against, so the motion's carried. Questions on the notice? We need to put forward to plan. Right.
Other questions.
Yes. Okay, it's public question and statement time. This is the time when any member of the public can ask a question or make a statement about something that's not to do with our planning items. The planning items on the agenda will be dealt with next. So if you have a question or a statement to make about something that's not to do with our planning items, now's your time. You get 3 minutes to speak. You need to state your name and address, and you've got 3 minutes. So is there anyone here who wishes to speak but not on a planning item? Yes, okay. I'll take this one off.
Microphone.
Yes, yes.
It's a brave new world
Will
now.
flash now? It's because of the...
All right.
It's Annette Orsi, Littleton Street, Longford. I'm just here quickly to speak again about the public shower facilities. I know I have spoken to council about this before, but I see the report in the agenda. And look, this is just an impassioned plea that I feel like we're sitting on our hands here, and it's a lot more, well, the word bureaucracy was just used. We're just going over and over. Now, I certainly support facilities in many of our towns, but I can only really speak for Longford. We are at the moment developing the Memorial Hall. We're spending over $3 million. I cannot see any reason, Trent, please support me here. I can't see any reason why we cannot put a public shower in while we're redoing those existing toilets. And the thought of vandalism, you just put stainless steel lining in the corner of one wall, particularly in the disabled toilet. There's already a waste, there's already plumbing in the wall. Worst case scenario is probably a channel in the floor to divert some waste or to branch into the existing waste. It's not hard and it's not expensive. It says here that the cost could be $30,000 to $150,000. I'm sorry, but I'm calling that a nonsense, given what's already in place in the existing facilities. I see that a mobile facility really is just a band-aid solution. I know it notes that it's difficult to know how many homeless people there are. Well, I live probably closer than anyone to a public toilet. I can tell you right now, today, there's a lady in her 70s who comes nearly every night, late, sort of early evening. She goes in with a large bag. Clearly, she's trying to freshen up as best she can in a basin. She's then going and eating in her car. There's been a young gentleman, a P-plater, coming along, and another gentleman in his 40s. There's people in mobile homes come along. There are people living at Back Creek. There's people, I'm not going to tell you where it is, but there's probably up to half a dozen cars sometimes. They go to an area in Longford where they park their cars at dusk to not be seen. So I'm just asking that you please move this along. We can just have tokens, so that will stop anyone wanting to vandalise for money. and they could come from Helping Hand or maybe also a church or somewhere else, so it's available all the time. I fully support having the community centre from the police station, but that's going to take too long. We really need to do something about this now, and the hall's already run overtime. I don't see, it's probably talking 1 or 2 weeks maximum to get this done, and I'm just imploring you all to have some compassion and get that done, please. And I don't think anyone local would, I mean, I said I live closer than anybody, and I can tell you now, fully support. I don't see why it would be any worse having a shower than having the public toilets already. Thank you.
Very much.
Just on that shower facility, when we had a visit at an inspection of the new facilities down at the Memorial Hall, I asked Miss Bricknell about the showers, and I was told by Miss Bricknell that we were going to convert one of the old toilet facilities there into a shower. Is that not going to be the case now? Has that changed? Because I was under the assumption, and I've had a lot of people from the community ask me this, exactly what the speaker's just said. Now, have I been told the wrong information, or is it still correct?
No, my understanding is that it was to be fitted out, ready to be turned into a shower facility. It's my understanding that has occurred. Would I be correct in suggesting that? It's just whether that's the ideal location for it.
What, sorry, I missed that?
It's just whether that's the ideal location for it is what the issue is, because we've been talking to Helping Hand as well.
Well, I think from what we've just heard, it's the perfect location.
Well, sorry, there's other individuals that we've been discussing the matter with as well. I'm not at all suggesting that site shouldn't be used. The better site has been suggested over here, but rightfully so, that's not going to happen overnight. So the outcome may be, yes, the council says the Royal Hall be used in the interim, and then it'd be moved at another time to the facility here, if that property is transferred to us. So there's a bit of discussion to occur.
So there is an option, sorry.
Yeah, did Trent, you wish to say anything?
Provisions in the family room, the old family room in the Memorial Hall that's facing the playground, will have some provisions put in there that at a later date can be connected and can be commissioned, so we don't have to do any rework in that facility.
Councillor McCullough.
So is that open to the public, that area?
The front toilet, yes, it's in the front area. It's one of the existing parenting, it was a parenting room that was not a toilet. There is a toilet there. We're doing some work in the floor because the waste, and there is some expense there with the waste because they go out the back of the wall, not into the ground as the shower would need to. So we're doing the provisional work in there at this stage, so then we don't have to do any expensive rework and demolish it to fit it off if that was the ideal location.
Could be done temporarily, reasonably quickly.
If council approve, if that's the way they would like to go, that could be fitted off with additional funding to the services that are in the wall and that will be in the floor.
This is public question time. Our council officers have got it in hand, I believe.
We've got it listed.
Is there anybody else from the public who wishes to make a statement or a comment about something that's not to do with planning? No? Right, we'll move into planning. Okay, the recommendation is that the council intends to act as a planning authority under Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 for agenda items 11.1 to 11.3.
Moved.
Councillor Adams and Councillor Lambert. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Any discussion?
It's just moving into planning. Planning. Is there any members of the public who wish to make a comment or ask questions about Planning 1, which is 33 Yule Road, Perth, multiple dwellings? Okay, yes.
Now, I don't really want to give my address. I'm quite happy to give
Just state the town you live in.
Okay, it's just that that's what's going on audio and so
Yes.
you can look it up.
No, that's fine. Just state the town you live in. Your name and the
Okay,
town
my
you
name's
live in.
Ross Taylor, I live in Perth.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So I believe the council have signed up to the climate initiative to understand and respond to the changing climate and associated social, economic, cultural and environmental challenges. In my view, this development fails on two of these: environmental, removal of all trees and existing vegetation, and no space to allow canopy trees to be replanted. Social, squeezing an additional 10 dwellings onto a site which provides privacy to residents through a privacy screen it's where groups are going to play. There's nothing for the kids. There's nothing to do. So my question is, it appears precedence in the area overrides area and social wellbeing. If so, why were changes made to the minimum size of 325 square metres to 400 square metres now being not? I mean, why would we bother? We're doing things now that you take a block of land and you divide it by the number of dwellings and you call that 365 square metres, when in actual fact some of those sites are 293 square metres.
You wish to, Mr. Gotti, do you wish to make any comment?
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Gotti is our senior planner.
Sorry?
Mr. Gotti is our senior planner.
So, yeah, with those concerns raised regarding the trees, for example, what we've got is the statewide provisions, which, yes, have a minimum of 325 square metres. The council got it raised to 400 square metres. But it still does have to look at compatibility with the area, and there are already dwellings with a lower density, which does result in the loss of all those trees. For that to be changed, it would need a change to the state planning provisions, which would have to be put to the state government.
Can I just ask you a question?
It's a state.
Am I allowed to do that?
It's a state matter. It's something that's we're governed
I
by.
understand that,
But
but basically what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, basically what you're saying is that even though you've got a 400 square metre preferred site size, precedent, anyone that has built, and there's a lot of those areas, if you look at this, there will be 87 high density dwellings from the main road, your main road and the main road, down to Phillip Street, or just past Phillip Street. That's that's more than one property.
I'm afraid your question's been answered and 3 minutes is already up.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So that's it.
I can't ask
Second
No,
question.
we've got, second question, yes.
Okay.
That's it. It's a statement, yes. You've got questions, sorry.
Okay,
Yes,
so
you can make statements.
I believe, this is my own belief, I believe the council should have a responsibility to its residents' ratepayers and not get developers who have vested interest in the approval to respond to my objections. Is it normal practice for a developer to offer an inducement to increase the height of the fence from 1.8 to 2.1 metres if the representation is withdrawn?
You may wish to answer that through when the elected members start considering the matter at that stage.
Yes, that will be considered when we're doing the decision making. Okay, thank you. That's it. Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to speak or make a statement about 33 Yule Road, Perth, multiple dwellings?
Yep.
The name's Glenn Dennis at Perth. As far as the building's going, I'm a little bit concerned about the stormwater. Where's it going to go to? They've indicated that they're going to have a pit to pump the stormwater out, but that's yet to be designed. And if it doesn't work, where's the water going to go to? Onto my property. I'm flood-bound. Second point is sewerage and water. There's no mention of that in the proposal. Has Taswater capable of handling the 10 new units that are going to go? Or what happens? Someone flushes the toilet, where it's going to go to?
Those items will be discussed when we're doing the planning item itself.
So that's not now?
No. Okay, thank you. Is there anybody, did you wish to say something, Councillor Goss?
I don't even ask the question about the stormwater, but
Yes.
Mr Dennis asked the question, but we can either do it in the item or we can do it now. That's not a bad question though, about where the stormwater's going to go. And
Yeah, Madam, we just need to make council aware, and also it's a presentation
Please.
that the community attend to do, and then the questions come from yourself as councillor.
I've made the mistake of saying ask me a question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to make a statement about Planning 1, 33 Yule Road, Perth? All right, Planning 2, is there anyone who wishes to make a comment or a statement about Planning 2, which is two-lot subdivision at 38 Hobhouse Street, Longford? No, right. Planning 3, is there anyone who wishes to make a statement about multiple dwellings in 7 Bedford Street, Campbelltown? Yes? You have 3 minutes and just state your name and address if possible.
Mayor Knowles, I'm Stephen Crothers of Campbelltown. This planning application replaces a previous application by the same owner which was withdrawn. Council does not provide the community with the identity of the owner of the land in the documentation released for public representations in either the current application or the previous application. My local inquiries have indicated that the owner is a former Northern Midlands councillor who was unseated at the last council election, raising concerns of a conflict of interest. The previous application sought approval for construction of 6 dwellings on the land, now reduced to 5 dwellings in the current application. The previous 6 dwellings were and continue to be presumably now for the 5 proposed dwellings. Advertised for sale at realestate.com.au by real estate agent Joe Eadie of eProperty & Co, priced at $295,000 per dwelling. In that listing, one finds these words: eProperty & Co has no reason to doubt the accuracy of the information in this document, which has been sourced from means which are considered reliable. However, we cannot guarantee accuracy. Surely the listing has been authorised by the owner of the land, even though the proposed development has not been approved by council. Who is the owner of the land and who stands to profit by the proposed development? That's my first question.
It's a statement time, not question. So, have you got a second statement?
I have a second statement, yes, I'll ask. Well, it's a question. It'll come to a question, but I have a preamble to it.
Well, it'll be classed as a statement to the
The previous planning
Point of order, I thought this was a question, public question time.
No, we've actually gone into the planning section now where presentations are made, and then if the questions then can come from elected members to those making the presentation. That's what's actually been in the document since I don't know when. So.
And it's my mistake saying to the public, you can ask questions. It's the councillors can ask questions of the person who's making a presentation.
Doesn't the planner normally answer the questions that the speakers normally ask?
No, they answer our questions.
They answer to the elected members, and elected members may then raise the same questions when you discuss the item.
Okay. Now, this gentleman can now say your second statement.
Previous planning application revealed that proposed development is located in a bushfire-prone area. This has not been disclosed in the current application. No bushfire assessment report has been supplied by the applicant in the previous application or in the current application, and council does not appear to have requested any such assessment report. So why has no fire assessment report or other relevant environmental impact report been commissioned?
Thank you very much. Okay, there's nobody else who wishes to speak on planning 3. We'll go back to planning 1. If any of the councillors wish to ask those questions, that's fine. Planning 1 is 33 Yule Road, Perth, multiple dwellings. Mr. Gotti, do you wish to make any comments?
Thank you, Mayor. So proposal for 10 new multiple dwellings, resulting in a total of 11 on the site. The site area is 4,047 square metres. When that's divided by 11, as required by the scheme to get site area per dwelling, it's 367.9 square metres. This is less than the acceptable solution of 400 square metres. In consideration of that, the scheme requires it to be compatible with development within the area. At 14 Phillip Street, it's 303 square metres, 31 Yule Road, 275 square metres, 16A Phillip Street, 377 square metres, higher than the proposal, but still compatible, 10 metres, 10 square metres. And just in addition to the recommendation that is there, after discussions with the works manager, I would recommend a 2.4 metre wide concrete driveway footpath for the length of the property. due to there being future footpath works within 2 years. And that extra width, 1.8 is the normal width, 2.4 would allow extra width for waste bins to be placed out there.
Okay, we need a mover and a seconder for a motion. Before we can discuss.
Oh,
A mover and a seconder to.
I'll move.
Move it.
Councillor Adams and Councillor McCullough.
Can I just speak, ask a question of the planner? On the stormwater, is there a new pipe needs to go in for stormwater, or there's a pump? There's some sort of connection I read that where it has to be pumped.
Yeah, so there needs to be on-site
Collection.
or detention to reduce the amount entering the system.
Right.
Councillor Goss.
Just on the stormwater, so an on-site collection, that's going to be pumped to the street, is that correct?
Yes.
Where's it going to go to?
Yeah,
To the street?
yes. Yeah.
Do we need some type of clause in the, so that on the titles or whatever, that people know that there is, the water is pumped to the street and they are responsible for that? We had some discussion in previous meetings about this. I'm not sure where that discussion went to, but I just think we need something in a Part 5 agreement or something surrounding that the water is being pumped and that the owners of the property will be required to maintain that or keep it to standard, or I'm not sure. Maybe the officers could.
Permit,
Officer might like to make a comment.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, there is a condition that before the use commences,
Excuse me, need quiet, please.
the developers to provide the operations and maintenance manual for that system to council for approval. But yes, I'd have no objection to a Part 5 being added for the owners to recognise that there's a system there and that they're responsible for its maintenance.
Councillor Andrews, you're next.
Just a question to Paul, to Mr. Gaudier. So you mentioned that there's several surrounding properties that have unit spaces of less than our 400 square that council likes to go to now, and therefore, this is probably fair enough, the one that we're looking at. I presume that those subdivisions that you compared this one to were agreed to and approved before council brought in their 400 square.
Yes, that would be.
So I pose the question, when do we start enforcing our protocols, despite has gone on in the past around us? Is it fair or unfair? Should we be actually saying, well, actually, our protocol is 400 square, despite what has been approved in the past? That's past history.
So, at the moment, the provision is there's performance criteria for the discretion that if it's compatible with what's in the surrounding area, that's the discretion. That would have to be changed to remove that allowance for that consideration. The council will be able to stick
so that's discrepancy
strongly
in planning regulations.
So can I ask in that relation, is that another amendment to the planning scheme, or is that something we can do?
That would be an amendment that council could initiate to its own local provision scheme.
Councillor Brooks is next.
A few meetings ago, I thought we sat down here and talked about these pumped stormwater systems, that they never worked. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that we were going to steer away from these pumped stormwater systems because they were failing. Is that correct? Or was I hearing something?
I think you're correct that we're trying to steer away from them. I'm just looking at this. It's certainly got detention, and that can come in the system in the form of just underground pipes, which feed by gravity out to the council system. I can't see that our engineers have put anything about a pumped system. They normally would comment on a pumped system if it was. Mr. McCullough.
Mr. McCullough.
just, I may be wrong with this, but I believe the stormwater line is actually going to be extended from Phillip Street up and across to this development, pick up all the stormwater, and they'll have detention on the site. They'll actually end up running into the stormwater.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any pump system.
I think that's what I read.
So it goes into a detention system, and then there's pumps that run, pipes that run off into the council's infrastructure out to the road by gravity feed.
Yeah. So pipes with a smaller outlet than the pipe, which slows its movement out into the council system.
Yeah, so that makes more sense. So there's no pumped system as such.
No.
Councillor McCullough, you're next.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's not a lot of, we don't have a lot of wiggle room on this one. It's unfortunately taken all the trees out because I did a development up the other end of town where I kept the trees and I could have had 14 units but brought them back to 8 to enhance the trees, but we don't have rules around that, unfortunately. The other mention was about the 2.1 metre fence, and the word inducement was used, I think, and I would have thought that was more a situation where they were trying to appease the neighbour. Is that a situation?
Yeah, so what happens as a matter of course is we send the issues raised and representations without their names and addresses to the developer, because sometimes it can be simply sorted out.
Resolving that?
Yeah, if someone's concern is only fencing, then they can be sorted out. In this case, if there are more issues.
Yeah, I would have thought that was probably a gesture of goodwill as opposed to an inducement, if you like.
Yeah.
Fair call.
Yeah, it can be the result of a concern, I think, rather than an inducement.
Yeah.
All right, Councillor Terrett and then Councillor Archer.
I share Councillor Andrews' concerns. One of the things about this area is the stormwater concerns. Where does the stormwater actually go? We have a block that will be redeveloped with a lot of hard surfaces, and we continue to do this without some concern about climate change and the effect of flooding and other things that come onto the site. We're allowing it. If we need to change our planning scheme, the speaker mentioned that some of them were 295, and I'd just like to get a bit of comment that some of the properties were 295. Just want clarification on that.
Yeah. Thanks. Some of the individual properties, once they're started, will be down at that. But the way the scheme is written, again, it's a statewide scheme, is that you just take the entirety of the lot, divide it by the number, and it's an average. That's just the definition we have to work with.
And there's no way we can amend our own.
No, that's a state provision, so you'd have to be asking for an amendment to the state planning scheme for that.
Councillor Archer.
Yes, I'd just like to follow up on what Councillor Terrett said in regards to that averaging. Is that apply across all zonings, or in a general or in a residential zoning, would that be different? Because it seems to me that you could pile all the smaller lots up against one neighbour and have the bigger ones down the other end. And in a residential area, I cannot imagine that is allowed to that extent. Can you just confirm the zoning issues in different lands? So if someone had a low density land, whether they could do that?
So low density really only allows for at most two dwellings, and not in all of our low density zones. So at most two. There are residential zones, but we don't have one. That's for Launceston and Hobart. We've only got the general residential, which is the zone that this one is.
And that can be any size title. So you can basically have a really large title, let's say 5 hectares, and have all the small units right down one end. That's you can't stop that.
That's right. If that was the case, yeah.
All right, I'm going
Can I just clarify the fencing? It was agreed at 2.1?
Sorry, I don't have that on.
Or can we condition it as a 2.1 metre fence to make sure the privacy does exist?
2.5, yeah.
2.5?
Is it in there?
On the sheet, yeah.
Screening.
0.4 screening, page.
Yeah, it's screening or fencing?
So we're talking about the boundary fencing. Is that right?
There's a neighbour's fence.
Just privacy provisions, given they're losing their trees.
Yeah. So it could be conditioned, yes. Boundary fencing with neighbours.
2.1.
No, I'm sorry, we can't say anymore.
Can't say something.
No. No. Sorry.
Where do you want it?
2.5 then.
I'm close.
Yep.
Minimum 2.1 paling fence.
Where do you want me to put it in?
Put it in,
Screening?
yeah, that's another point under screening. Councillor McCullum want to give us the wording?
Just the boundary fences should be not less than 2.1 timber or colour-on fence. At the
Can I just suggest neighbour boundary fencing?
boundary,
So it's
boundary
not
neighbours, yeah.
So
You know,
what's your courteous or?
at the developer's cost. And that gives some empathy to the loss of the trees.
2.1.
2.1.
Oh, 1 means.
Meter.
Okay, everyone's had their say, so I'm sorry, Councillor Goss, you've had your say. I'm going to put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Right, planning 2 is a lot to, 2-lot subdivision, 38 Hobhouse Street, Longford. Need a mover and a second for a motion. Councillor Terrick's moving. Councillor McCullough is seconding. Any discussion? Councillor Goss.
Yeah, I just like to see a condition put in there about the footpath. I think it's probably really important that that footpath is done in front of this property. When you look at the property, the house next door, there's no footpath there, but then there is a full concrete footpath which goes right back to Pakenham Street. So basically there's a concrete footpath nearly all the way up the road, and I think as any development, where we're letting people subdivide blocks, we should be making putting footpaths and curb and guttering and that type of stuff as well. So I'd like to see that condition added to this. As I said, it's only 1 block away from a very long existing footpath, and people will be able to use that. The other area also, this area, I'll keep talking because I didn't get a chance last time to talk a bit more. I'll keep talking, so I won't get a turn again. But it's really important, you know, this area around there in Hobhouse Street, this is across from the showgrounds. It's a really busy area when the showground's being used, and I think it's really important to have footpaths in that area where we're going to do it. And council have already said today at the workshop that they're going to do the rest of the footpath in, you know, a very few short amount of time. I think it's really important that it becomes part of that. And there is definitely existing ones there. On the other side of the road, there can't be a footpath there, 'cause that's on the showgrounds, against the fence. There's not enough room to put a footpath on that side. And the footpath existing at the moment is on the side where this subdivision is. So it should be really important to have it there. Thank you.
Any further discussion, Councillor? Yes.
Can I just also note that where the recommendation or the proposal was to use an existing driveway and widen it and use it for both lots, I would actually recommend that there be a separate driveway for each lot. So I'll just put that up there as a recommendation.
That's a recommendation.
Councillor Brooks.
Yes.
Could I just have some clarification on what Councillor Goss was saying? So the property boundary on this development, then it butts up to the existing footpath, is it? Is that correct? So why are we asking the developer to pay for a footpath that's not out the front of his land?
No, it will be out the front of his land. It'll be for his frontage.
Yep, and then there's a gap then, is there? So there's a footpath, then there's a gap, and then there's another footpath, is that how it is?
At the moment.
That's how it'll be though if this gets through, is that?
So yeah, I don't actually know how far away the next footpath is, Mr. McCullum.
No, it's right.
It's not that
If that's the case, then why wouldn't we be better off to get a contribution rather than getting to put a footpath in? So when we put the footpath in, we can do it all in one hit.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so it does have their, the council may accept a bond instead of the works being undertaken.
Yes, yeah, right. Councillor Archer.
Yes, I was just about to speak to that. I think, trying to enforce a silly bit of footpath when it might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, but I consider that basically the wider driveway will be part of the footpath, so that's going to be in place.
Yes.
And yes, if we have a contribution from the developer, hopefully then the whole process can be done by council at some stage. And I consider that's the best option. Yeah.
Maybe we can.
Sorry, I was looking for the workshop early. What's on the left-hand side of that rear block? What are they proposing on the left-hand side of the rear block? It's a very big block of land and you're actually taking its access away.
We talk about that.
Well, I wasn't in the first documents. Well, that block there is going to be land block on the left-hand side, possibly. Have you got more traffic in that driveway coming in?
So look,
I can't see any houses on there unless I've got an up-to-date screenshot on the list. So you've got some houses there, but they don't exist on the list. Are they there, those houses? On the left-hand side?
Yeah.
They are there already?
This is the one. This is the one.
So-
That's that there.
Yeah.
so the driveway to those houses is, I think, just off the page, just off the image.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, no further discussion. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Sorry, aren't we going to amend that slightly to get that contribution? We've got
It did, it was already there.
Sorry, my apologies.
Yep, there. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Planning 3 is multiple dwellings, 7 Bedford Street, Campbelltown. I need a mover and a seconder to a recommendation. Councillor Andrews moving, a seconder. Councillor Archer.
No,
Any discussion?
Right.
Councillor Archer.
Could I say that basically I'm in a situation where I have to vote on planning issues as they stand. We've already seen this 6-lot subdivision has been reduced to 5. It's been mentioned in our workshop in regards to heritage precinct. Design of building these days outside of heritage precinct, there's lots of freedoms. The fact is, obviously it's not really in keeping with the current larger houses on these lots, but the fact is we have to vote on current planning laws, and I really don't like seeing these large developments on semi-rural lots, but that's the way zonings go, and I'm afraid I will have to vote for it.
Councillor Andrews.
I'm of the same persuasion as Councillor Archer, but from an appearance point of view, the appearance of this subdivision is going to stand out like a sore toe in Campbelltown. It's going to be something very different. But once again, within the planning regulations and as a planning authority, it meets all the criteria. So unfortunately, we have to, we can't vote it out because of the way it looks.
I just raising those same points. It concerns me that we're now creating a precedent. There's nothing stopping this type of development going all over that area or anywhere else. And I know we have virtually no way of preventing this, because if we do knock it back, it'll probably end up in Tasco. I am hugely disappointed that we're seeing a development which could actually have a detrimental effect on Campbelltown. It is a semi-rural area, and if this is a way of getting low-cost accommodation for people who really can't afford much as far as a mortgage, to give them something like this is a terrible indictment of the way we got planning schemes, and it is a horrendous result of a bad planning scheme, and as soon as it's changed the better.
Councillor Adams.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on that because I think it is exactly those things, and the state government's gone about trying to change local government instead of concentrating on some of these real issues and getting into them, like planning, these planning laws. the issue of climate change, a 100-year plan instead of 100 years plus climate change. So there's all these issues that have got bent in another direction instead of being concentrated on. And I believe that planning was one of them that's just so wrong. And we've heard today about, we tried to get the blocks up to 400, but, you know, because the precedent down the road, is that those need to be changed. And we need, as another councillor's pointed out, when are we going to start at 400? We have to start those new concepts.
Councillor McCullough.
Paul, it says, I was just reading Mr Carruthers' submission, the bushfire prone area. Is that a bushfire prone?
It is. The planning scheme deals with bushfire prone areas when it's a subdivision. This is multiple dwellings. So that's why it's not addressed in the planning. It will be addressed at building approval stage.
So they'll have to produce a report?
Yep, that's right.
And no traffic reports required?
No, that's right.
Councillor Brooks.
I know we talk about containers in the municipality. It's basically what these things are. I know Councillor Adams has been talking about containers around Longford and different parts of the municipality. And yes, I know these things are basically a container. I think there is a way, and I'll have to ask Mr Gotti this, about the discretionary aspects of the application, where it says that there's no separate pedestrian access. Now, is this a way that we can use this tool as a way of rejecting this application?
That is the only discretion, so the only thing that council could reject it on. Obviously, the assessment, so it's a performance criteria. The assessment is that it's a low-speed environment. It's a straight driveway. The fact that they haven't got a separate pedestrian access is acceptable in a planner's view, but it is something that council could refuse.
And if we were successful with that path, what would the developer then have to do to comply? What sort of things would happen for him to comply with that performance criteria?
Yeah, so they'd have to redesign it so that so by separate pedestrian path, it's something that's separated by bollards, for example, from the driveway. They'd have to redesign it to put something like that into it.
But would they have enough room given the
That's a good point.
Very good point.
No.
Yeah. You know, so there is a way maybe that we can vote against this. We're all sitting here and we know it doesn't belong. We know it doesn't belong.
That is the only ground you'd have to refuse it on.
Councillor Voss.
Yeah, I'm just looking on at the other planning things we did before. It's on Google Earth and looking at Bedford Street, and on Google Earth they got a man walking two dogs down the middle of the street because there's no footpath. I know there's no other footpaths in the street, very wide street, but I think we need to start somewhere, and I think we should get a contribution out of these people for footpaths. I don't think that people should have to walk along the street, and I think that we need to start somewhere. There is a chance that looking around, these properties are big, they could do all these things up the street, lots of them, so we could have hundreds of people walking up and down there, so we need to at least get something out of this development for that. So I think we need to put something in there about a contribution for the footpath. And looking at the street on Google Earth again, across the road is the council depot, which has got a beautiful big asphalt apron in front of it, so it has got a bit of a footpath there that people can walk on off the road, and this will be on the other side of the road, but it might be able to something to continue in the future.
Mr Collier, is that a reasonable request?
So as I understand, again from the works manager, there's no plans for a footpath in that area. My advice is that for a condition to be reasonable, there has to be at least some planned footpath. Otherwise, in this case, council will be taking a contribution with an unknown time frame as to when it would be using it.
No, all councillors except Councillor Lambert have had their say. Councillor Lambert.
I asked a question. I have nothing to say.
I might have my say. Thank you. I want to reject this as well. I think it doesn't, from everything that everyone said, I agree with. However, I'm not sure that we would win this in the tribunal. Looking at how flat the land is, how obvious and easy it is to see right through to the end of the development, I think that we are potentially wasting ratepayers' money if we reject this tonight. I think we will find that we will not win this. As much as I would like to reject it for all the reasons that have been discussed tonight, I think we're playing with ratepayers' money here, and I don't think we'll get the outcome that we want.
Councillor Brooks, did you say you were moving another
I'd like to move a motion that we do not approve this.
You're foreshadowing the motion.
Yep. And the reasons being that there's no separate pedestrian access to the property, and it poses a safety risk. Yeah, someone taking these?
To the good citizens.
Sorry.
It's an amendment.
He's been moving an amendment?
Yeah.
Direct opposite.
Well, I was moving a motion that's opposite
Direct
to this
opposite.
one. Foreshadowed motion. Does that come first, and then we'll go back to this motion?
No, foreshadowed comes
Afterwards, yes.
Right, so I can
You're foreshadowing
continue.
the motion, yes.
Not approve it, given there's no separate pedestrian access, and it poses a safety concern to pedestrians and visitors alike into that development.
Okay, so I'll put this motion first, and then we come back to yours if this is lost. I'll put this motion. Those in favour? Aye. Those against?
Aye.
So Councillor Terrett, Councillor Adams, Councillor McCullough, Councillor Goss, which way are you?
For the motion.
For. So Councillor Lambert's against, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Andrews and Councillor Archer. And only myself and Councillor Goss are for. So that motion's lost. So now we go to your foreshadowed motion.
I'll second it.
You're having a second, you've got a seconder? Any discussion, Councillor Brooks?
I think I've covered it
Yes.
here.
No separate pedestrian access and poses a risk to users.
There's a risk, a safety risk,
Yeah, safe.
safety risk to all users.
I think that you should spell out that it's to residents and visitors.
Yes, righto. Yeah, to residents and visitors. Right, that sounds better.
Okay, Councillor Terrett, you've heard your first.
I'd just also maybe, and I'll take advice from the planner, that it's so out of character with this area that it should be maybe another reason for knocking it back is that it is not within the character of the local area.
Yeah.
Can we use that?
I'm
as a
happy to
reason?
include it, but is that a reason?
Probably a notation.
Excuse me, slightly.
There's actually no planning grounds to refuse it on that ground. We just have to
Yeah.
revise that and remove it.
Can we place that as a notation?
Be good for the tribe.
Well, there's no harm in the notation.
No, I think it'd be good for future developments.
Can I just suggest Councillor Brooks just refers to the clause, the discretionary clause for that, which is C 2.6.5 P1.
Councillor Archer.
Could I just ask the planning officer whether when the subdivision was changed from 6 to 5, was this pedestrian issue mentioned and the subdivider refused to act on it?
Sorry, say again?
When this came before council before, it was a 6-unit development.
Yes.
Was this pedestrian access discussed at all? And was it altered at all when it became a 5-unit development?
Oh, okay.
In other words,
So
did the development take any action to address this at all?
No, I think it's the same as, I think it was the same as originally proposed.
Yeah, the application was withdrawn, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was put in the agenda, but it was up for refusal and the applicant withdrew it.
Councillor Lambert.
Just a quick question then, after sort of looking at the picture on the design and saying that it's quite flat and straight and easy to see, there is a garden bed on the left-hand side. Is that wide enough? Would that be wide enough to create that pedestrian access? I just want to ask the question to see whether it's actually doable, whether that would actually meet the specifications.
Where's the pedestrian crossing?
I'm looking at the plans on the attachments.
It's probably open space on both sides of the road.
And there's a row of little sort of things at the front, aren't they? Up one side.
You're talking about a plan or a picture?
No, it doesn't.
It's got some, and I wonder whether that's enough width to create the.
What page are you on, Councillor Lambert?
On page, well, it's 149 in the attachments, 11.3.
There's no way to get into the units
Not really
1, 3 and 5 anyway, even if you walked up that.
Not for us to find a solution, really.
No, I know, but I'm just asking the planner.
There aren't dimensions on that space, but looking at the other dimensions, it would appear possible, I would say, yeah.
To create that pedestrian
Yeah.
access.
Councillor Brooks.
So
Sorry,
my question is then,
yeah.
can we withdraw this tonight and take that proposal back to the developer rather than reject it tonight?
So we're
Is
on.
that something we can do?
We're on a statutory time frame to have it decided. Sorry, it'll be in here.
15th of Feb.
15th of Feb, so it won't get back to the next.
Could it be done on delegation, the general manager, if that can be achieved?
Excuse me.
Or am I just grasping at
So there's a motion there, sorry, we need to determine that.
I move and put the motion be put.
Okay, this is the foreshadowed motion.
Can I just ask one more question?
We've got to put the motion there.
Madam Mayor, can I just speak?
He's moved that it be put, so.
Yeah, he's moved that it to be put. I have to do the motion. Yep. That the application be rejected. There is no separate pedestrian access which poses a safety risk to all residents and visitors under clause 2.6.5 part 1. And a note that the subdivision is not in keeping with the area. I'll put that, I've got to put the motion now under the rules. I put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Aye. And Councillor Art is against? The motion's carried. So we don't go back to the other one. Okay, so now we cease acting as a planning authority. Councillor Adams, Councillor Terrett. That the council cease to act as a planning authority in the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act for the remainder of the meeting. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, we go back to. Yes?
You can walk over.
Yes.
You can go now if you like.
Yes. We're going to have our meal
Yeah, you
break
don't have
now.
to stay if you don't want to.
You're welcome to stay, of course.
If you want to stay, you can.
We're going to
But
have our
nothing
meal
more.
break now. We'll be back in half an hour, a bit over half an hour.
That's what normal.
Councillor McCullough. So Councillor McCullough has submitted the following questions on notice to the General Manager. A response to the questions posed will be provided at the council meeting, which they are listed here, and I'll go through those. Longford Streetscape and Beautification Funds. Question, please advise if the federal government have been advised that the Streetscape Beautification Program has been rejected by council. Answer, no. Question, if not, then why has this not been done? Answer, council is not required to advise of the decision. Question, I note that the minutes of the last meeting made mention of beautifying the Mill Dam site. Please advise how Main Street funds could be used for a separate site altogether and not for the intended purpose. Answer, council is considering other projects connected to the heart of Longford to use the federal funding grants towards. Question, please provide the exact figure of the initial grant that was committed by the federal government. Answer, the initial grant for the Longford Streetscape was $1,393,628. Asbestos, further question relates to, or a number of questions relate to asbestos contamination, Storey's Creek. Question, please advise of the council have been made aware of openly exposed asbestos in the Storey Creek area, and if so, when was notification given? Answer, yes, 15th of February 2023. Question, please advise what the council have done to rectify the matter. Answer, the property is not owned by council, and as such this issue is the responsibility of the property owner. Council has advised the property owner of the complaint and requested they inspect and action the matter as it is not a council owned property or matter. Question, please advise the Environmental Protection Agency, please advise the Environmental Protection Agencies have been notified of the matter, and if not, why not? Answer, council has not notified the Environmental Protection Agency. That is not council owned property, and council has requested the property owner to do action. Question, what plan is in place for council to take short-term action over securing the site and long-term action to rehabilitate the site? Answer, council does not have plans to secure or rehabilitate the site. It is not a council-owned property and is the responsibility of the property owner.
Right, we've got a recommendation that the council receive the questions on notice and the answers provided. I need a move to second. Councillor Goss and Councillor McCullough. If that's appropriate, is it? Seems how I think. That's fine. Okay, cool. Yep. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Council committees, confirmation of their minutes. The recommendation is that the following minutes of the meetings of council committees be received.
I move that way.
Councillor Adams, Councillor Lambert. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. We've got some recommendations from some of those committees. The Campbelltown District Forum have a recommendation around Main Street upgrades. The officer recommendation is that council notes the issues raised by the Campbelltown Forum, whose members did not make written representations in accordance with section 75(5) of the Land Use and Planning Approvals Act 1993 during the advertised period in their capacity as private citizens. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Adams?
I'll move.
Yep. And Councillor Andrews. And yep, Councillor Terry?
I'd like to speak against that. Whilst I understand the Planning Approvals Act provisions, it is important for the council to continue to communicate with local communities, and in this case the district committee, on what is going to be a major change to the main street. And I'd certainly encourage the project manager to attend a meeting of the Campbelltown District Committee. To just say, well, you've had your chance, bad luck, I don't think that's satisfactory. I think there should be always a dialogue with our communities and an engagement with that community. So I will not be supporting that, the recommendation.
Further discussion, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Against.
Aye.
So Councillor Terry, put those hands up please. Councillor Terry, Councillor McCullough, Councillor Brooks. The motion's carried. Evandale Advisory Committee, they have a motion around secretarial support, and the officer's recommendation is to note their request. Councillor Adams and Councillor Lambert.
a question.
Yes?
Just a question. In the interim, whilst we don't have secretarial supports for our district committees, is there anything further the district committees can have to assist them? Because my concern is that they have an obligation to report back to council about their activities, and that should be a correct and true record of that, either giving guidance or supporting or making sure they have a secretary. Some they may not even have somebody who can take the minute. Whether there's been that communication with the district committees at this stage.
Yes, Madam Mayor, my understanding is they've been made aware that we don't have an officer available at this time. There's things we can do like assist with the agenda, and we can also assist with typing the minutes up if need be. If someone there on the meeting time takes the minutes and forwards them through, we can ensure that's done. We're endeavouring to obviously engage a new officer as quick as possible, and the officer will have the responsibility of supporting that committee.
Thank you.
I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Longford Local District Committee, they have a recommendation around replacement of vision impaired markers, and the officer's recommendation is that the council note the request, which is an operational matter. Councillor Goss is moving, and Councillor Lambert second. Any discussion? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. They also have a recommendation around project allocation for funds of $2,500 in lieu of secretarial support. The officer's recommendation is that we note the request of the Local District Committee, which is an operational matter as per District Committee's Memorandum of Understanding. I'm going to have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Lambert.
I take it that...
You seconding Councillor Adams?
I can second that, yes.
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Councillor Adams first.
Yep.
I know. Well,
No, you go. It's okay.
I just, what's do they contact, they want the 250 to go into that project? I guess they just straight contact the officer here.
No, we'll have the works manager make contact with them, have a discussion. My understanding is a design hasn't been finalised for that area. We just need to finalise what the area is going to look like and then go from there. But obviously the money can be set aside to actually do what they wish to be done at that site.
I thought there was the design had been done, but it hasn't, I guess.
Well, I wasn't aware of that, so I let it occur while I was away.
Right. Okay, I think very close, but...
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll check on it.
Councillor Lambert.
I was basically going to ask or suggest the same thing, just to make sure that money is put aside for that project and that it's not lost in any budgetary changes or anything.
Well, Councillor Andrews, did you have your hand up?
No.
Right. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. They also have concerns around Illawarra Road safety on the northwest side of the roundabout, and the officer's recommendation is Council note the request of the Romford Local District Committee to further reduce the speed limit from the off-ramp at Perth, extending along Illawarra Road northwest of the Whitfield property, but that no further action be taken. Councillor Goss, you moving?
Yeah.
Yes. And Councillor McCullough is seconding. Any discussion? Councillor Andrews.
Just that maybe the wording is a bit harsh in the recommendation. Could we just stop it at the end of noting the request? Do we have to say that no further action be taken? It sort of chops them off, doesn't it? They might want to come back and have another little campaign next year or something.
I suppose it's
You can do that if you wish. That's an amendment. I need to know that the mover and the seconder, Councillor Goss, Councillor.
I'm happy with what's there.
With what's here?
Yep.
Okay, Councillor McCullough.
Yeah, I think they can always come back over. Yep,
Okay. Councillor Brooks.
Was that a council officer decision, that recommendation, or where did they get it from?
It's a council officer decision because they've actually followed up obviously with regards to the changes that have been made to the 90k zone. I don't know if the works manager could add anything more to that, but they weren't prepared to actually state growth as identified that that's their speed there. They weren't going to, and they looked at continuity through that because the 90 also now comes up to the roundabout at this end.
Yeah, so state growth, it's been referred to state growth and they're not prepared to extend that out to Whitford Gate, is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know if it's been referred to state growth. I'd have to ask that question.
It's disappointing that all they're asking is to extend that through. I know they're saying 80, but they'd probably end up being 90, so it'd be the same speed right through there.
My understanding, it is 90 all the way through.
Yeah, but I'm saying from where they're proposing out to Whitford Gate. Like, it's not a very big ask, and to not even get it referred to the state government for comment, I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah. Well, the states have reviewed the situation, that was their recommendation, but if it hasn't been referred, I can ensure that it is referred, but let's just see what their answer is.
All right, I'm going to put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. The recommendation also around the action register. The officer's recommendation is that we note the request. Councillor Goss is moving. Councillor McCullough is seconding. Any discussion, Councillor Terry?
Yeah, Perth District Committee actually has an action sheet that they do themselves. And there may be some liaison between the Secretary of the Perth District Committee and the Longford District Committee of how you can do an action plan, like your budget items and so forth. It is very handy, and it really means that you're not going over old ground again. And that may be something in the review of the district committees that people might want to take up as well.
Okay, yes, that's what
Longford does look at that.
I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. They also have a recommendation around the sign for the Mulga Way. And the recommendation is that Council note the appreciation expressed by the committee. Councillor Lambert, Councillor McCullough. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Perth Local District Committee have a recommendation around the shade over the playground equipment, and the officer's recommendation is that we note their recommendation. I need a mover and a second.
I'll move.
Councillor Adams, Councillor...
Oh, no, I just want to ask
All
a
right,
question.
Councillor Andrews then. Councillor Adams, Councillor Andrews, and Councillor Brooks, you wish to say something?
Just with the answers, like, we get a lot of note, and I know Longford District Committee get a bit miffed by those answers. You note, but there's no real answer given. Like, they'd either yes or no, just noted. There's no really clear direction for them to go, and they feel a bit let down with some of the answers. I'm just wondering why we get noted instead of just a genuine reason.
Well, we could perhaps refer back to the policy. The council has a clear policy and made a clear decision with regards to no shade over that playground. We can actually review how we make the recommendation in the future and take into account council's previous decisions and any policies in place, because that's what officers do. They take into account what previous decision council's
But when it's noted, they don't know if that's the end of it, or the council's looking into it, or what.
I understand.
They're sort of left in a bit of limbo.
Yeah, but my understanding, they are aware of council's previous decision. They're obviously not happy with council's previous decision, which is fair enough. They can come back to council and ask the question. But we can reiterate what council's previous decision was, and council is maintaining that decision.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. They also have a recommendation around the Main Street planter boxes, and the officer's recommendation is that council note the request and the advice be provided to the committee. Yep. Councillor Lambert and Councillor Terry.
I just have a question.
Yes, you can.
I'm just wondering how the planter boxes fit in with the streetscape plans. Probably something to go through. You know what I mean?
The location of the planter boxes are in where there's garden beds proposed, so they'll just blend in with the shrubbery or the plants that have been designed. So, so it's up to council if they want to get more not either way.
I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. The train park, and the officer's recommendation is the matter be investigated. Councillor Lambert, you seconding Councillor Terry?
Yeah, I'll second that. I really think it's a great idea.
No comments?
No comments? I think it's a great idea.
Put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Truck parking, the officer's recommendation is that council note the recommendation and take no further action. Councillor Terry, you're moving it?
But I'd like to also have something.
Yes. And seconder? A seconder, please. Thanks, Councillor Andrews. Okay, councillor Terry.
This is, one of the things about Perth is we do have a lot of truck drivers in the general area, and parking of trucks in the street is also becoming a concern around the area, and I think this is where this has come from, is that we need to encourage industry and businesses, and quite honest, truck drivers are usually owner drivers, and it is becoming difficult for them to find somewhere to park your trucks without having to go and lease land or lease properties, and it is a concern for right throughout the Launceston area and urban areas. And how do we address this as a concern? And it's fine to say, well, it's your problem. The fact is, it becomes a problem in the community, with trucks starting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and being forced to move or parking their trucks in the front yard because they've got to get off the roads because they'll get a fine. It is something I think we need to be conscious of, whether it's a parking area or something. I don't know which is the best way of doing it, but it is a concern that we need to look at and maybe can't find a solution.
Thank you. Councillor Archer.
I'll just ask a question. Is there in the Perth town plan, is there an industrial area which exists in regards to potential parking areas?
No, there's a minor area for industrial area. When council looked at the structure plan for Perth, they actually stayed away from identifying any main industrial precinct. The view was generally taken that there's the brickworks up the road, and there's also a Translink just around the corner as well. So there was no real was thought at that time when they looked at the Perth structure plan, no real need for any major industrial area.
Okay.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. This has been a potential problem for years. I raised it some time ago. We knocked back the federal money to might restrict some activity around some of the suburban streets of Longford. There is a lot of trucks that park in our residential areas. They start early, and air brakes are a noisy thing, and people sometimes fool vehicles on the council infrastructure, and also I've seen trucks parked, half the truck up on the footpath. So there is an issue here, but whether it's the industry that needs to deal with its own parking issues, which we expect industries to deal with their issues now. Maybe there can be some interaction with council on facilitating things. We have a very big parking area down near the boat ramp, and I see there's been a vehicle there for about 2 weeks or a week and a half now. They don't pay anything; they just park there. Say the ratepayers should pay, or I don't know. I mean, what's in it for the ratepayers to do that? I mean, it's an industry, the trucking industry, that should be able to pay its way. And this continues to become an issue with residential people, being woken up early, and kids and shift work and all those things.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. Oh, Councillor Goss.
Yeah, the area I've always thought that we do need something in our municipality, and I always thought the block of land opposite the entrance into the meatworks, it's just an empty paddock. They cut a few bales of hay there every year. It's protected by the wall around the town, and it's not used for anything else. Only cutting a bit of hay and running a few sheep. I just wonder if the council should look at it, not develop that area, but look at it, so if it could actually be used for truck parking. It's on the entrance to the town. The trucks wouldn't have to come into the town, and Perth could use it as well. There's quite a big parcel of land in there, and it borders a train track on one side, and it borders the levee bank on the other side. And unless there's a flood comes over the levee, it doesn't get wet. So I think it's an area that probably could be developed, and it's probably underdeveloped at the minute. So that's something I would suggest for maybe a truck park in the future.
What to say?
I just want to foreshadow the motion.
All right. Oh, foreshadow a motion. Okay.
Yeah, just in line with what Councillor Costa said. That.
Although remember the motions from the local district committees.
Yeah, but I think it's also for us to
Yeah.
be proactive as well. Motion that I think is that council bring back a report, council officers bring back a report to a future council meeting on possible truck parking. That's all that.
Maybe the issue is, why are you going to go to a truck park if you can drive and park outside your house? If there's not an incentive, right? It's the same as having the truck wash, right? Truck wash, if it's compulsory that you wash the truck after you get the stock off, then I'll do it because, and you can have cards these days and everything else. Why are you going to go to the car if you can park outside the house? Your cement truck sits there.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the motion that we're working on at the moment from the local district committee and put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? You're against? The motion's carried. Councillor McCullough's against. So because that motion is carried, we don't need to go to the foreshadow motion then?
No, we don't, that's right, no further action.
Okay, the next one is the Devon Hills Neighbourhood Watch and Residents Management Committee.
I need to disclose the interest.
The committee wish to have a budget consideration about a basketball area. The officer's recommendation is that no further action be taken on this matter and the Devon Hills Neighbourhood Watch and Residents Management Committee be advised of the reasons. So we need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Adams is moving. Councillor Goss is seconding. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Andrews.
Just a question. I presume that the group will be told what the officer comment is.
Yes, advised of the reasons.
Yes, it's inappropriate.
That's in the
recommendation,
recommendation.
etc.
Yeah. Councillor Lambert.
I still think we should be considering it, so I'll be voting against.
That's fine. Okay, right, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Councillor Lambert. Councillor Terrett, want to come back?
Another one.
Oh, sorry.
Another one.
Oh, yeah.
Always contracting.
Okay, review of the contract works. Officer's recommendation is that no further action be taken on this motion and the Devon Hills Neighbourhood Watch and Residents Management Committee be advised of the reasons.
I'll move that.
Councillor Adams.
I see the reasons.
Yep. And a seconder, please. Councillor Andrews. All those in favour?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Some clarification before we vote.
Yes.
The officers' comments actually say that Shaw Contracting have advised they'll return in April to review the works and undertake remediation work. So I would presume that information would be going back to the district committee. Can I just clarify that's what will be going back to? An explanation as to what's happening, so they're aware.
Sorry.
The information that's in the comments is what I'll be providing back to the management committee.
Excellent.
When I report back to them about this motion.
That's great. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
They're probably letting it settle, and I think there's a bit of settling to do.
And I think the community need to understand, be made aware, and understand that is actually what's happening, and that they are going to be coming back to do some more work. Because I think there was a commitment to come back earlier, late last year at some point.
The works management comment, because he's actually met with some of the membership of the committee, is that correct?
Yes, I've actually spoken to a couple over there. They're looking to come back in April to do the next year plan because there'll be a growth then coming into the autumn. At the moment, they'll be putting on just be vacant. Little seed. We've actually taken them on. They don't come back and do it. We've actually got the money here to do the work.
All right, then that's great. So as long as that message gets back to the community, that's fabulous.
Okay, recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. There's only two independent, isn't there? Yes. So Councillor Terrett, come back.
Hold on, sir.
I move that the.
Wait till Councillor Terrett comes back. Sorry. Right.
Is that what you did, sir?
No, that's fine. Okay, information items. The recommendation is that open council information items be received. Councillor Adams is moving. Councillor Goss is seconding. Okay, any questions, comments on information items? Okay, Councillor Terrett?
Just in relation to Sticky Beaks, I've raised earlier in the workshop about the need for state growth to be given a hurry on This is a motion that goes back to March. We've been waiting all this time. I'd like to move that the council writes to our local members, both lower and upper house, about the delay that this has caused and seek their urgent action.
Do we have a seconder?
Well, Madam Mayor, can I suggest we write to the Minister first,
yes.
the relevant Minister, and then perhaps after that, if he's slow to respond, we can take, that's,
Go to his boss.
That's a better one.
Okay.
then follow up after that.
Yep, happy to do that.
Councillor Andrews, did you want to say anything more?
I was going to actually say, Councillor Terrick, can you amend it to say, we'll write to the Minister first, not to the local members?
Councillor Lambert.
Oh, I just second
You're right. Okay, that's fine. And someone on this side had their hand up as well. Councillor McCarr.
Oh, second.
Oh, no, that's already been seconded.
Or is that just a no?
No, it's a second.
That's a
Second motion.
Yes, but we'll move the local district committee, they're not the committees.
No, sorry.
What are we doing now?
Done.
Sorry.
Info.
Info items, yes.
But we've got a motion on the books and then we've got this.
This is another one.
So we can receive
We can receive
two
it,
first and
yes.
then move on to the next motion.
Yes, but did anyone want to ask more questions about the information items? So you would No? Yes.
I've got one. Item 7.74.3, which is about the Mill Dam Reserve. Our action is that a design is requested and a plan awaited. Who are we getting the design from and how far away is it?
The concept's completed. We just need to bring it up to a workshop. We use Lang Dames because we've got them on a retainer. So they've actually done a draft of a master plan for that. We've also asked them to look at a tree planting program at the entrance area from Stokes Park through. I think that's correct. So we'll be able to bring that through to a workshop as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Lambert?
8.17, Local District Committee Review. Can I just get some confirmation? Have we decided on a date? At the moment it says earliest February. So have we got a date yet? Have we sent out a reminder to all the district chairs that we would love to have them on this review and committee? We want to get their involvement. And has a location been sorted?
Victoria behind you would like to say something.
Sorry. Yes, so I've written to all of the committees and in the letter there were 3 dates nominated to give a variety, and they've been advised that we'll try to endeavour to schedule a date that suits all of the committees. It will be here in Longford. The 2 of the southern committees have said they're happy to travel up because they think it would be best that there's only 1 meeting held as opposed to 2. So at the moment I have had 1 extra committee person between writing this report and today come back with a response. So I'm just waiting on the other 3 committees to be able to find out their availability on the suggested dates and times. The timing has been put in place to allow them to have their first meetings of the year, which is in February. And then the chair people can get feedback from each committee.
Not an automatic.
So that the chair people are informed to come in and provide feedback on behalf of the committee. So it has been scheduled to fall within that first week between their first meetings and the next council meeting.
Excellent.
So that and the rest have been written to. It's just waiting for responses.
Yeah. All right. I just wonder whether a reminder might need to go out to those that haven't responded yet, just to see, hurry along, make sure we want everyone there if we can. But that's good.
No further questions on this? Yes.
Can I just ask a proposal that I've been thinking about for a long time and reminded me, General Manager, when you talked about mill dam plans and talking about trees from the boat ramp down as part of that plan for the mill dam, can we, and you'll tell me where it's appropriate to raise this, can we talk at some stage about Council's protocol in terms of trees and the trees that we plant? Can we have a discussion about planting native trees, considering the planting of native trees as well as European trees?
Madam Mayor, there's an item coming up to this workshop about looking at particularly street trees where we're not planting enough trees throughout our municipality. So that would probably be the opportunity there to discuss the species, because that'll be part of that. If council's happy for a report to come back to a workshop, come back to council, part of that will be looking at the different species and why officers are recommending a certain species. It's all going to come back to the area they're going to go in, constraints within those areas.
Okay, I'll put that we note that the information items be received. I'll put that recommendation. It's been moved and seconded. Yes, it has. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now, Councillor Terrett, you had a recommendation.
I can now move that recommendation
Yes.
about the council officers write a report.
Right to the Minister.
Right to the Minister. Requesting that state growth provide a response.
No, and the
Timeline.
No,
Looking for timeline.
and ask why the communication between council and state growth has been negligible. Stalled.
Broken
The
down.
lack of communication
Broken
between
down.
council and
And
state
when this
growth.
first came up, Council, I'll just make sure I'm correct. Councillor Lambert seconded it.
Yes, yes.
You're happy with that?
We're not requesting him, we're informing him that we can't communicate with state growth.
Yeah.
Requests too soon.
Why?
Oh, it's still too soon.
Councillor Terrett, you happy with that?
Absolutely.
And
No,
Councillor
I don't think that
No,
is
it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's a question why, remove that for a start.
Update.
That's better.
And why?
As to what?
It's too wide.
You want to put Heritage Corner in brackets?
Yeah, it should be called something other
Yeah.
than sticky bits.
Yeah, it's Heritage.
After corner, Dale.
Well, they want a corner of
Corner of
Wellington,
Wellington.
Albury, that's what they want.
And it'll need to be Longford's heritage corner. Yeah.
It's actually in our report referred to as Sticky Bits Cafe Corner and in brackets, Corner Wellington and Marlborough Streets. So perhaps that's what we need to refer to, because that's what we've been sending through to State Road. Just so the correspondence matches.
Yeah, the word heritage brings another emotion.
And I don't know whether Councillor Terrett approves or not, but somewhere in that communication with the Minister, we need to say that the reason why we're writing to him is that we've been trying to communicate with State Growth's Gary Hills for how long?
Since
More than
March.
12 months?
March.
10 months. 10 months.
And we're wondering why that hasn't been possible, why that hasn't happened. And could the Minister investigate for us?
Yeah, it says that.
No.
Without mentioning him. And why the correspondence in the Mud House
Actually went
has
higher
stalled.
there, because they appointed a contractor. It hasn't come back to us.
So if someone's been appointed, I think, I believe it should be directed to the Minister, and the Minister can do their own investigation. But once the Minister's questioned, there'll be a ministerial, won't there? And he'll have to look at, he'll request information as to why this has not happened.
So we shouldn't complain, we should ask.
Yes, I think in the first instance, if that doesn't get us anywhere, we've been doing it verbally, now you're doing it in writing to the Minister. The next step is to take the matter and refer it to the other, to our local members and that.
Could I ask if the word bean's been removed? Sorry, it's funny.
Which way?
It has stalled,
Sorry,
it hasn't
Councillor
been
Terry.
stalled yet.
Yes.
Stalled, yes.
Yes. Better. Councillor Brooks.
Just clarification, so what information are we requiring from the Minister? Are they doing another study on Heritage Corner to see if there's other alternatives other than the one we've done. Is that
That's
basically?
what I understood, yeah.
That's
Yep.
what I understood as well, yes.
Yep.
And we're waiting for that advice back, so they haven't given us a timeline at this stage.
Timeline's correct.
And councillor Lambert had seconded before. Yep. Okay, put the recommendation, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Anyone else against? No, councillor Brooks?
Aye.
The motion's carried. 13.1. Yep. 13.1, Development Services Monthly Report. The recommendation is that the report be noted.
Move.
Councillor Terrison.
Hang on.
Councillor Adams, sorry.
Hang on, hang on a
Sorry.
second.
Yes. Got to find it first.
Just hang on, Mayor, just need a second.
Page 116.
Councillor Adams and Councillor Terrison. Right. Any questions?
Aye.
Questions? No? Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 14.1 is the Future of Local Government Review, the final report and our submission to it. The recommendation is that the council notes the report. B, maintains its preferred position is for the Northern Midlands Council to remain in its current form and does not agree to voluntary boundary adjustments or amalgamations. And C, endorses the attached submission to the Department of Premier and Cabinet, the local government reform, and authorises the General Manager to provide the submission on Council's behalf. Councillor Goss, you're moving that?
Move the recommendation.
Yes.
I'll second that.
And Councillor Territt seconding. Any discussion? Councillor Territt?
You're right first.
I just, it really shows that having the review has actually been worthwhile, because there are some recommendations which will change councils. If we overlook the amalgamation issue, which is always a bugbear in these reforms, I look at recommendation 3, which looks at establishing a strategic planning and reporting framework that will actually change councils doing the way that they do the strategic planning. But it also means that if these are brought into legislation, we as a council will need to also start doing these things, which includes a community engagement plan, which wholeheartedly support, workforce development plan, elected members' capacity and professional development plan, and a finance and asset sustainability plan. All that I think is really needed across the industry in all councils, not just this council, but I think it is a step in the right direction, and I wholeheartedly agree with the recommendations as submitted in this report.
Councillor Goss?
Yeah, just that when we were going through this was a really big thing for our community. As council, I got a lot of feedback from the community, not supporting what the government wanted to do, and it's really great to see that we've got this result for our council and for other councils as well, I think that a lot of our people in our community would be relieved that this is the outcome, because there was a lot of people that were really concerned about it. They were concerned about the debt that would have imposed on them as residents of the Northern Midlands, and there was nothing that was ever given from the government about where the debt money was to come from, and we know where it would come from our ratepayers, and you know, there was a chance we would have been taking on debt of other councils, and that was something that our ratepayers didn't want to do. So I'm really pleased with this outcome for our council, and hopefully it gives the government a good bit of feedback about it. Thank you.
Councillor Adams?
Yeah, you know, you can try and put a spin on it that it's coming out of these reports how great they are, but you could have spent these resources on getting there much easier than what was done, and I think it was a very poor effort to where we got to, and I don't think the process was very good at all. I mean, tending them and the chairman of the committee not even acknowledging what had happened at the meeting with all the very good discussion and commentary. So I thought it was a very poor process. I thought the reports were poor. and I thought it could have been done enormously better. And whatever comes out of it, we'll always have this thing over it. Why couldn't it have been done a lot different? And as I said earlier, there's a lot of things that the state could be doing to improve local government and planning and many other issues, but it decided to spend all this money on a report that's really given us very little.
Okay, Councillor Archer.
I'd just like to quickly say that basically I hate reinventing the wheel and going into areas where there should be answers elsewhere. And the next agenda item is the Australian Local Government Association. I've been very disappointed about the leadership from LGAT, and potentially when we're having de-amalgamations on the mainland, somehow in these two organisations we've got to have a better policy than going through what we did in Tasmania. Now, we're calling for a motion of the ALGA. The first thing would be create some efficiencies in your organisations.
And leadership.
And leadership, yeah. So as
Just
far
know
as
this
I'm
mess
concerned,
didn't come from them though.
no, it didn't, but I'm just saying they should be playing a role because we're trying to reinvent the wheel. We've got de-amalgamations on the mainland, so we should be knowing all these facts.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 14.2, the proposed public shower facilities in the Northern Midlands. The recommendation is that Council note this report and list for discussion at the Council workshop.
Madam Mayor, I think perhaps it'd be a good idea for the project officer to clarify exactly where we're at with regards to the Memorial Hall, because I had some confusion myself, so I think it's best that he describes exactly the current state of play with regards to work at that site.
So with the existing
toilets at the front of the Memorial Hall, there's a parent room. That parent room is, as per the documents, is getting a toilet, and in that room is getting the provisions for a shower in that room, and it's been called at a time that's going to be the most economical financially for council to have all the rough in, the drainage, and everything in place if council in the future wishes to have that facility as the shower.
And you have authorised a variation for that, so council will be informed that that work's been authorised to progress.
Yes.
Can I just ask a question? Obviously, as we discussed tonight, a man's shower needs to have some height to get fallout. So basically, when you're saying it's provision, all the underfloor or above is in there. All we need to do is obviously put a shower screen in and the access issues and all those things need to be done.
All the underfloor
Drainage will be installed, and it'll just be the final fixtures to connect that will make it operational.
Can I just ask before we have any more discussion, can we have a mover and a seconder for a motion, please? Councillor Lambert?
That's the recommendation, is it?
The recommendation is that we note the report and list for discussion at the council workshop. However, there are some motions, there are some options for council to consider. I'd like to move that we determine to progress the provisions of public facilities in the Northern Midlands, that we continue to lobby the state government for transfer of former Longford Police Station to council for repurposing as a community house with shower and laundry facilities, and funds to enable employment of a house coordinator, given that the demand for the homeless service is driven by the state's housing crisis. Determined to commit funding for the construction of a public facilities in the Northern Midlands, and also, if I could also add in there, to investigate the creation of a mobile shower and laundry facility similar to the Grand's van model, which can be utilised throughout the Northern Midlands community.
Is that going to cover what was asked for tonight, Lou?
And investigate the provision.
Investigate the creation of a mobile shower and laundry facility similar to the Grand's van, which has been discussed, which can be utilised throughout the Northern Midlands community.
So this is the one that's being moved, that's fine.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that into to those. To commit funding to construct public facilities in the Northern Midlands, perhaps we need to change that to the Memorial Hall. Do we need to put that in writing, or is that just?
Well, council's only committed so far to do the minor infrastructure work internally, not to fit it out.
Oh, well,
So that's the only variation we've done as officers.
All right, well, I would like to then change 3 to say to commit funding to the construction of a public shower facility in the Memorial Hall facility.
Yeah, and I'll second that if that's the case.
Yeah.
Not the mobile.
Yeah.
And I'm adding that in as a
Oh, you're.
But I'd like to talk to that,
One
if I can get a
This
second.
is Councillor Lambert's motion. So
Yeah.
we have a seconder to this motion. Councillor Brooks, you just said that.
No, oh, hang on. Not if it's a mobile one. I don't want to waste
I don't
money
think
on a
it's an
mobile
It's
one.
both.
It says investigate.
Investigate.
Yeah.
That's,
Can I talk to it?
Yes, yes.
Look, the reason I want that included is because at the moment there is a great need for shower and laundry facilities, not just in the Longford area, but throughout the municipality. I think as a starting point and a first port of call, we absolutely need to get the Memorial Hall facility up and running, because as we heard tonight from Ms Aldersey, there is a need, an absolute need in our community for that facility to be available. However, we have homeless people in other areas of our community, not just. So I'm proposing that we investigate the mobile shower facilities for other areas in our community who won't be able to access the Longford facilities. We have a lot of towns in our community, and I'm looking at that. It may be not a short term, but maybe a medium term project, something that we can work towards. I see opportunities for partnerships with other agencies or other groups who might want to get involved in. I think there's a whole lot of opportunities there to be able to find a way to make that mobile facility work in our community. We're a unique community, municipality. We don't have one big city where a lot of these facilities and things would naturally sort of flow. We have a lot of small communities, but those communities still have homelessness issues. And I believe as a council, if we're going to start down this road, and we should go down this road, I think as a starting point, definitely Memorial Hall, we need to get that up and running. It's to me makes sense. It links in with the Helping Hand facility. It links with the idea of getting the community house up and running, where I believe at some point, if the government chooses to support us in this and to give us that facility, that would be a natural place for that coordination to start happening, and a facility as well. I think Deloraine have a really good facility, and we should have a look at their model in their community house, and it works extremely well. But I'm looking at the mobile shower as a longer term facility, and I don't see that as a waste of money. And I think there's a lot of creative ways that we could actually maybe look for funding or have some partners to come and help us and support us with those things. And that's where I think that information, the workshop will help flesh out some of that information.
Now, before we go any further,
Yes.
as Mayor, I'd just like to ask, can we add in somewhere there under number 3 perhaps, because we've been working quite closely with Helping Hand in trying to
Yes.
get this going,
Absolutely.
that we include Helping Hand in those discussions somehow.
So determined to commit construction of public shower facility, Memorial Hall,
Not me.
with the support of Helping Hands, or in conjunction with Helping Hands, or in discussion with Helping
Hands,
in partnership with Helping Hands.
Because they're strongly supportive of it when it happens here, but this might not be a quick fix.
Yeah.
And clearly we need it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, now we've got Councillor Brooks, you were next.
I'll move.
Councillor
I think I got a second. I don't think.
I didn't second it, but I'd like to speak to it at some stage.
Yeah, it was Councillor Andrews, I think you put your hand up.
Yes, but
second. It changed.
Yes.
Yes. You
I'll
happy to-
second the motion.
All right, Councillor Adams is seconding. Okay, Councillor Brooks, you were my first one to
Yeah,
say.
I was happy to support it, but once the changes come, I think we've got the provisions there for a shower as we speak. Let's get in and finish the job off. Well, I think we're creating more bureaucracy. We talk about bureaucracy, getting all these other people involved. Grand shower, how do we know they're going to come out here? What happens then? We're going to be stuck with no shower. Let's get in and do the job, commit the funds to it. We've got the provision there. It's not going to cost an arm and a leg to finish that off. It's where we want to put it. Then we'll concentrate on the other towns, Perth and whoever is in need after that. But I think we've got the kickstart we need. We've heard from the community here that it's that really needed. So I think we need to get in and get the job done without a mobile shower and laundry facility. We're going to have a caravan park down on the Memorial Park if we're not careful.
Councillor Archer.
Look, I agree. Definitely we need some showers in the community, but the council already owns showers in Cresty, Longford, Perth, Avondale, in existing recreation buildings. It's just a matter of managing those showers as they are without funding a mobile shower, having someone standing there and moving it to Avondale when someone at Cresty wants a shower. We have showers in all these facilities. We paid a lot of money to put them in. We need to investigate how can we manage the public showers we've got at the moment. I'm going to support the motion because I think the kickstart for Memorial Hall is on the way anyway. It's going to be a good model to see how that works, how it functions, before we start going and investing. The community house, you've got to realise that is going to be a huge cost for council. So that's part of the management. And if it comes ahead and we can get some funding, that's great. But before we commit to showers in all these other places and mobile showers, I think we need to manage the public showers we've already got.
Good point. Councillor Goss is next.
Councillor.
You want to just...
Yeah.
Councillor Goss.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Sorry. My only concern was that it talks about the parenting room at the Memorial Hall. It'd be good to see some plan come back to council about it, because I wouldn't like to see the parenting room as such, what it's for, being lost because it's going to be a shower room from now on. If we've got another parenting room there, that'd be okay, but we need to, having spaces for parents is really important for our community, and if we're going to lose one space for parents to have for their families, and I'm not sure if I can, I need some more information about that. So I'd like to see it come to the workshop with some plans, or back to this room in the future, so we can actually make a decision on that, because I wouldn't like to see one group miss out when we're focusing on something else. So I think that's really important, and hopefully the officers can come up with an interactive plan which suits all users, not just the one. And the other thing also that about the access is it external access from inside the hall. If you've got to be inside the hall to get access to it, I mean, some of those things need to be ironed out. I'm sure our officers will be able to do that as well, but I wouldn't like to see us lose the parenting room if we haven't got one, if we lose it altogether.
Madam Mayor, perhaps the
yes.
project officer makes
The existing parenting room's already been approved by council to be converted into a toilet. That's just a matter of placing a shower. It's not that simple, but a shower in the corner of that room. We needed to pick up additional toilets on the village green because council decided not to go ahead with the other ones that are across to Archer Street, so we needed that additional toilet in that. The toilet or this room does face out, and it's 24 hours if council would like it to.
Councillor McCullough's next.
Yeah, I'd like to keep it pretty simple, and I agree with councillors, all councillors, but I particularly agree with councillors Archer and Brooks that we keep this pretty simple and get it up and running very quickly. Taking on Councillor Goss's concerns, and it was already noted tonight that the outside facility does exist, so that I'd like to foreshadow a motion that, based on point 3, to determine to commit funding to the construction of a public shower facility at the Memorial Hall in Longford with helping hand immediately, and also add facilities for a, what was it?
Isn't that in your
what?
Parenting room?
Parenting room as well, if we can. and then to investigate all other matters thereafter.
That's foreshadowing a motion that's already there, though.
Yeah.
So I'm changing it slightly.
I'm raising a point of order here. I think it's sort of, you can't have an amendment or...
I'll just reword it with, do you want me to reword it?
Well, I think it's in the motion. So
it's a different
motion.
It'll only be the same if Councillor Lambert wishes to put immediately on it.
Under which one, sorry? Oh,
Under
I'm
number
happy to put immediately.
No, it's not, because
And obviously
council
in
colour
the
has got
hearing room.
Excuse me, one at a time. Councillor Lambert.
I'm happy to add in the word immediately because I do believe that should be happening straight away.
So that's under number
To
3.
number
Yeah, but I don't want any of the other motion.
No.
I'm not really interested in.
He's got rid of 4.
I got rid of 1, 2 and 4. I'm keeping it very simple and we
That's
can
a
investigate them at a
motion.
future stage.
Okay. All right, councillor
Do we need to
Terry,
refer
next.
to the mid-year budget review? Do we need to
That's
put
what
those?
you believe.
No, it's covered in the contract.
Covered.
Okay, councillor Terry.
Just in that motion, there is no requirement to bring a report back to council about the other facilities. And we've already had raised to council about the Charles Berryman Reserve, or there's nothing, or we haven't really looked at
Other areas.
other areas. And it'd be nice, I would like to see a report brought back to council in due course on these other areas, so we don't lose the need that exists in places like Campbell.
Put that in.
Why can't
Well, I did actually say
Excuse me, one at a time, please.
I would be happy to have that added in.
Previous motion's still live.
Yes, it's fine.
So I would take it, what you're suggesting there in number 4 is that would be added to looking at the other sites. It's an opportunity to actually, whether you actually create other facilities in other towns or you look at something mobile.
And the last point was about bringing it to a workshop. So it needs to be discussed.
Sure, a workshop.
Yeah.
And a report.
Yeah, so that'd be point 5.
I've got a right to speak because I second the motion. I reserve my right, Mayor.
Yeah, we'll get it worded up first.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Janet, you do.
With the facilities.
Go next the words. Or,
Where are we up to? Investigate the creation of
Andrew or
other
somebody.
facilities, and determine whether,
With the existing
Show the full motion, please. Go. It's got that council notes report and
Determine the process. Vision.
in other town, in
Other areas within
areas of the municipality. And a report to be,
And then 5, bring it to a workshop.
a report.
Just a report.
I'd support it now that number 3's worded the way it's worded now.
Yep.
All right, now I'm going to read it out and see if both the mover and the seconder are happy.
I would like the point that's raised about, we've got a lot of showers in our municipality.
Yes.
And, with a voucher system
Yeah.
and the
Well,
right
that's-
coordination and, helping hand is good, and you might be able to get some of that in some of our areas. So
That's,
if we could
that's
sort of
covered in
bring that
number
in the
4.
report,
So
if
when
we could cover it in point 4.
Yes,
That's
covered in
in
4.
I agree.
Yeah,
The Helping Hands pushing for a shower at the Memorial Hall.
yeah, I know.
That's what they're doing.
They originally
But they're
wanted one
actually
at
pushing
their
for
place.
shower
but-
over here when we get this building. They've got
Yeah,
money
but
for
that's
it.
pie in the sky stuff. We mightn't get that building there.
This one's the immediate.
This
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read it out. That council note this report and 1, determine to progress the provision of public shower facilities in the Northern Midlands. 2, determine to continue to lobby the state government for the transfer of the former Longford Police Station to council for repurposing as a community shower and laundry facilities, and funds to enable the employment of a house coordinator, given that the demand for homelessness services is driven by the state's housing crisis. 3, determine to commit funding immediately to the construction of a public shower facility at the Memorial Hall, Longford, in discussion with Helping Hand. 4, and investigate the creation of a mobile shower and laundry facility similar to Grand's vans for use throughout the municipality, and determine whether existing facilities could service the needs in other areas of the municipality. And 5, further report to council.
could we make and or between municipality and determine?
Yes.
4,
Oh yes, and or, yes,
make it
Yes.
or,
yes.
yeah.
Right.
And sorry, I've just been thinking that discussions with Helping Hand don't impede the fact that we'll actually put the shower in straight away.
No, it won't impede it.
That's fine.
They'll
They've
probably
been involved.
They'll probably be
Just,
fine.
that's fine, that's fine.
No further discussion.
Probably a capital D on determined.
Well, I'm the only one who hasn't spoken.
Yeah, councillor Adams. Sorry.
I just wanted to reinforce the number of homeless that's in the area is quite large, as our community member spoke to, and there are people that come out and need facilities. The other one is I'm not over, I'd really like to explore opportunities of using infrastructure that we have as well. I'm not opposed to it. I think we should do the one in the Memorial Hall, but other opportunities that exist and ways of making that happen. And yeah, I'm not overstruck with a mobile process. I don't think that's going to work at all in our area. I can see where they work in large urban areas and things like that.
That one is an and/or. Okay, I'm going to put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Nobody's against. That's carried. So now the foreshadowed motion you want to put, you're not going to worry about that.
All right, that's it.
That's fine. 14.3, the Australian Local Government Association, the 2024 General Assembly of Local Government call for motions and conference attendance. Councillor Terrick, you want the motion?
And maybe just have number 3, you've got the general manager. So it's clear that the council has approved for the general manager to go. I know it's automatic.
No, Madam Mayor, it's not necessary. In my contract, I can attend these conferences. I have that liaison with the mayor.
Yeah.
So you can move that in second if you wish, but it's not
I
necessary.
think it makes it transparent to the community that.
Sorry.
Yeah, the community don't have access to your contract.
It's contract.
Okay, so you're moving that recommendation and we have a seconder, please. Councillor Goss. It's not bedtime yet, Councillor Goss.
Sorry.
So the mover wants the addition of the general manager. Also attend, perhaps.
It's not necessary.
Okay, any discussion about,
He will before also.
he will, yes, yes.
Continue, the fags continue to increase and 1% of taxation come to local government. Should push those policies, which are policies that are there now.
Which they're pushing for quite loudly. Do we have any motions that we're going to be talking about at the time?
Madam Mayor, unless there's something council wishes to bring forward, the officers can give consideration and progress something.
These are motions that need to be of value to nearly all councils in Australia. It needs to be of a national value.
Yeah, and they need to be, as the darkened out section, they need to take notice of those considerations, any motion that council may wishes to put forward. And they're on page 130. There's 4 dot points near the bottom of the page. You must take that into account when you're putting the motion up. Otherwise, they won't consider them.
And the president of ALDA is the most noisiest person in the government here. We want the fags increased. We want what? The financial assistance screens for all councils increased.
She's a great advocate.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Huge advocate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, Councillor Terry.
No, I'm fine.
Just not a concern I have always had in relation to renewables. We've had solar and so forth. The council has to actually fork out quite a bit of money in relation to that. That there should be some, in order to expedite, and I know the federal government is keen to expedite any type of renewables facilities, that financial support should come back to councils, or at least the federal government give some financial supports so that we can assess these and move these along quite quickly. Whether this is something, and I'm certainly open, it's just a bit of a concern, and it's something we've had to deal with on a number of occasions, and it's often that we don't get any rates from it, but we also we have to pay out the bills in assessing these planning approvals, and that often takes a fair bit of time as well. And I just think there is a need for, if the federal government wants to move for renewables, or for the good reason, we also should get some support from the federal government to try to expedite these ones as well.
So have you got a motion in mind?
That the federal government provides financial support to councils to expedite renewable energy projects. That's something off the top of my head. I don't know.
Could we ask them to give some, low income, low interest loans to do projects, something like that might be better for us, you know, or, I mean zero interest loans, you know, that kind of thing, so that'd make a big difference if we had some money to use for 10 years to do some stuff, and then we pay them back after that time.
I think there's.
Would you add to that, such as no interest loans?
Yep,
over
I'm
10
happy with
years?
that. Well, I was talking to Councillor Brooks earlier in relation to electric buses. We have to fork out to put that facilities in, particularly in public areas, and they're the type of things the federal government could assist councils provide. If hydrogen comes online, then there is a need to try to bring those things, and at the moment we either have to get private sector or councils paying for it. And it's a good thing we're moving down to renewables, but who pays? And I don't want to see us having to put our hand in our pocket because nobody else is doing it, particularly in rural areas.
So when you're saying here projects in renewables, maybe, and what do you call fuel projects?
Charging stations, are we talking about charging stations?
Trucks. Yeah. Trucks. So charging
Associated
stations, that
cost of
mean
implementation.
and energy efficient projects, maybe we just do that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Renewables and energy efficient projects.
Some of this stuff is, as you know.
Yeah. Does that make sense now that the federal government provides financial support to councils with no apostrophe to expedite projects in renewables and energy efficient projects such as low or no interest loans? Maybe that such as low,
Sounds like a project.
it does too. So maybe such as low or no interest loans needs to go up after financial support.
Yep.
Or actually after councils, after financial support to councils. Such as. Yeah. That sounds better, do you think? Yeah. That's a good one. No other projects that we can think of at the moment?
We can't construct anything to make it nationally around planning,
Yes, I
can
know.
we?
No, that's a
We
state.
need major planning reforms, we're not a national problem.
Therefore, the motion should be concise, practicable and able to be implemented, so it might take a bit of thought to get something up that might get there.
Well, low or no interest loans, that's pretty easy to implement, they did it before.
Mitigation programs for
Oh,
flooding
yes.
and
Yeah.
these things, which we dealt with a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
That's not a bad one actually, because that's around the country that
That's right.
local government seeks financial support to
New South Wales and Queensland.
yeah.
So would it be worth putting a
adapt.
comma after renewables then and have energy efficient projects and mitigation?
I reckon make it a
Make it a
separate
separate one.
separate motion.
And that is more about increasing the funding to it as well, because they've got streams out now, and we've been lucky enough to get one, we're putting in again. But it's not enough money, not Australia-wide, no way in the world.
You know, in light of the dramatic climatic conditions that we're experiencing in recent years, that federal governments supply more funding or make more funding available or whatever.
That's exactly right. As they've doubled roads recovery, I think over the next couple of years they'll reach that figure.
People having to build new
So what's a good way of wording it?
I just had a thing to add, is often grants are only given to put a wooden bridge back where a wooden bridge is. There should be also funding for betterment. So you get a concrete bridge and you do raise it if it has been washed away. So either betterment of assets, and I don't know how we put that there, but
Yeah, they do have streams for that now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, they also look at that whenever we do have a flooding situation, they ask us to look at improvements for those sites rather than just putting back like for like. If there's any improvements we can make, they ask us to look at that and also seek the funding for that at the same time. But yeah, again, there's never enough money though, definitely.
So do we need another, like a number 2, how are we going to word that around? Increase the funding for
Increase mitigation funding for
weather
to meet
events.
climate change. The future of climate change that's increased funding to increase the meeting of, funding to increase to meet the needs of climate change in increase in
Mitigate effects.
To mitigate the effects of climate change.
Yeah, in
We can expand on that.
Yeah.
you can expand on that?
Yeah.
Just read them. Yeah, so it's to acknowledge that local government are going to have to spend heaps on capital works over the next few years to try and withstand floods and fires.
Get another metre on our levy.
And even though they've already got the funding streams, maybe at the end of that, and betterment of assets.
Well, that,
Are you
mitigating,
asking
we'll
this
do
one?
that, yeah.
Yeah, that one, yeah. Everyone happy with those? Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Corporate services reports, monthly financial report.
Move.
Second.
And Andrews, any discussion, questions? Councillor Terry.
New major projects which are under the budget, there's quite a few which are stormwater. They sit there, they'll go, I just want to ask a question whether they will be on the 24-25 budget funding.
Yeah, so this financial report includes the mid-year budget review. So in the operating budget, there was $53,000 worth of changes, plus provision for 2 extra staff. And then in the capital budget, there's a few changes, but there is some new projects which Councillor Terrett has highlighted, and they're mainly 3 big ones, which is Honeysuckle Bank's toilet, provision for toilet, the detention basin area in Arthur Street at Perth, and the Sheepwatch Creek flood mitigation. Now, that may be covered by grant funding, but the other 2 council will have to fund in the 24-25 budget.
Okay, happy for me to put that?
And there is one additional one,
Oh, yes,
just for a reallocation that I've circulated, which was omitted from the list.
What's that involved?
That was basically, we were going to do some CCTV of the stormwater system at West Perth. Our engineers have asked whether we can transfer that to Longford because that's more of a priority in this current year, and we'll put Perth off till next year.
Councillor Goss, you had a question?
Just a question about when we did our budgets, we allocated for CPI. The CPI figures have dropped back in Hobart. How's that tracking with the finances? Has that given us more money in the mid-year review, or how are things travelling with that?
No, they haven't. The CPI hasn't affected us, but the interest rates have affected us, and I have budgeted for a little bit extra revenue in our interest revenue.
So we've got more than what we predicted, is that right?
Yes.
How much more we got? Is that in?
I think I allowed an extra $30,000.
$30,000. Right.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. There's no works report, so we now need to move into closed council.
I'll move that.
Seconded.
Councillor Adams is moving, Councillor Lambert is seconding.